answer still 3 decimal point. Okay, this was one thing which actually I already have cleared it previously, but I am just trying to go with the book example. So there was another representation. What exactly happened? This is comes actually in the one topic which I want you to actually read it. Actually, please, after my class, please go through this particular topic called Python 3 string formatting. There are many big string formatting, and I also use those kind of notes when I will just actually need to do it uh, uh, more string formatting. Okay, in the Python 3 I used to follow one syntax. I am just looking at it and just giving you the document.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just looking at it who actually have submitted the files, view submission. If actually have anyone actually have done that, so I will download it. There is no submission here, view submission. Yeah, there are two people who submitted the file. Yasher,
Not this one.
1 minute. Vinita, I will just actually everyone give you the voice permit. Just 1 minute. Let me download this file. Rumi, okay. Please download this file. Yeah. So this is done. This is done.
I'm not
Now,
seeing
yesterday I
anyone
assigned
submitting
it.
directly the
If
file.
anyone submitted it, I will
So
just check
suddenly I'm
that.
finding it like it was
Hmm?
gone missing, or because I'm
Kalpana,
not able to
okay.
find it.
Okay. And Banita, you actually also did it. Mhm.
This one.
So this is done. One more, please. One more.
It is
1 minute.
actually too good
Actually,
for
there are
me
different
to
batches for
explain
6. So this
in
is
that particular thing.
okay.
Please read
I
it.
got it everyone's
This
file
was
now.
reading only
Okay.
for you guys.
Everyone, just morning, Sanjay. Abdul, thank you,
Just go
Abdul.
through it and
I
read it.
have done with the work. I cannot submit it because it's a
It is
text
actually
format.
very good one. There are still many
You can
examples
share me
which
on
I
the
will show you
email
that.
if you are actually having that kind of
So
issue.
you
I will
understand
enable
what
everyone's
happen when
voice.
you
Wait a
read that
minute.
particular document. It will help
Yeah.
you. Sometimes
Bhushan, I
what
got your file
happens,
on the
you actually have
on
your name.
email.
Like I
I
actually have my
downloaded
name.
Kalpana's your file right
Called
now.
my
Okay.
name is called
I'm just giving everyone the voice permit.
Kumar.
Just 1 minute.
My surname.
Yes.
So I
Hmm.
wanted to
So this
read
is actually I have
Python
given everyone who
3.
joined it. Now we will check it out. What was actually our
Directly
summation and
this.
what exactly people
And
actually
I
have
want to
done it.
print this name
Okay.
into the 11th
Before
column.
doing
So
that,
what exactly
Sir,
happened?
yes,
even I have got the answer, but I didn't
This
send it to
five
you.
character, but not showing the
you
character.
should send it because
Let me
otherwise,
just
how
show
will
you.
I know actually you did it or not?
Let me just show you.
So
Okay,
either you can just send it to this email ID. I will download it right away. Okay.
okay,
This
This
is
one
highly
here,
formatted.
it is
Total
Sanjay at the rate
spaces would be there.
careerera.us.
If you do the
Okay.
okay, okay,
I will just send it here on the chat so you can send it to me directly. I downloaded everyone,
left
so
formatting.
except
Okay.
you, two people who did not do that,
Left
please do
formatted
that.
in this you cannot
Work
change
career
anything.
era.
So what exactly
Yeah,
happened?
Jupyter
My
notebook.
name, my
Okay.
father name. Okay. I will just say Raghuveer. Okay. Just
So the
one
fundamental here is
I'm
right now.
writing it.
Wait a minute.
After that, I will just say
Is the issue?
comma or F name, right? Yes. And that I wanted to present it with the 20 character. Okay.
It was
This
not
is also
opening the
20
Jupyter. It's
character.
so slow.
20, 20.
Okay. Which Jupyter? Just 1 minute. Jupyter. This is homebrew one. Okay, I will just
So
open the
what is this actually
mini
called? This
forge
particular
one.
symbol is
Jupyter
called this
notebook.
greater than
Please
symbol
do
do
that.
the right
Okay.
formatting, less than
So this
symbol
should
will do
work.
the left formatting. You can just see. If you do not give the any formatting, it will
Upload
just
it in
do the
the
formatting
Somin. Actually, I got it
very
already.
fast. And this is why it
Not
is
about
called
that. Why my Jupyter
string
is not working right now? Control C.
always
Okay. One.
left hand formatting.
Control C.
This is
Yes.
actually what
Okay.
left hand formatting.
Control
Okay,
C.
this is called
Control
left
C.
hand format.
Okay.
And this is
Only
what
this
right
Jupyter
hand
notebook.
formatting. Okay, you can see these are
I
the
am not
spaces
sure
which
what
was
is the
there.
issue
Only
here.
your name was only five
Okay.
character, but you are assigning
Top
20 character
mini
for placement.
bin
So
Jupyter
what exactly
notebook.
happened? There are
Please
15
open that.
character spaces are actually assigned
Otherwise,
on
it
the
could
left
be
side
issue
after
for
that
me.
label
Yeah,
is
it's
placed.
open. Okay.
The same thing with
Please,
the
if you
right
can minimize the screen so I can
right
send it.
if you just see after this
How do I minimize? You
if
actually
you
have to
go with
rejoin it.
5
Actually, I
and
cannot
go with
minimize
20
it,
character,
right?
so total 11 character would be
Or I can
assigned
stop
on the
screen
right
share
side.
in that way, you are
But
saying,
this space you
Abdul?
cannot see it here, but it's still there is a space. Okay, so sometime after that you will
Yes,
see
Sanjay. Yeah, if you
and
can stop the
this
screen sharing or something, and
25
then I can just
head
send
age
it to
Okay,
you
just
now.
check it out
is
if you can access it.
then I will just write it here. I will
Uh,
just say age in the how many digit
yeah,
you
I
want to
should be able
represent.
to get
This is a
onto
two digit only,
Word
so I
document.
will just
I
say
mean,
I
onto
want to
my
represent
Yahoo, and
it
then
in
send
the
it from my Yahoo
finals.
email
Okay,
address. Right. Okay.
You can minimize Zoom and actually do that, sir.
dead age.
Yeah.
Okay,
I will
and I
start a
want to
screen share.
represent it with the
Yeah.
files.
I've been trouble,
So
Sanjay.
if I
Sorry.
do this, this is directly writing the file
My Word
and there is
document is
no
not
point of
working. I don't know.
using.
Maybe at the end of
It
the
will directly
class,
take
if
it
you
the
got
file
time, just to have a
directly.
look. I've
Okay,
been trying to
which is
install that,
saved
and
here right now.
all anything that I save
So
or
you can
anything,
just see
even the
this is actually
assignment
the
that you
file
gave me, I
where
had
this is
issue.
going to
It
put
turned
You
into
can
like
actually, if
file
your local
and
machine is
this
not
is
working,
actually
anyone's whose
this
local
directly
machine is
converts
not
it to
working,
the
you can
normal
go to
characters what
Google
it is.
Colab. You can just check. I am searching online, Google Colab. This is the Google research directory where they will allow you to go work on the by default with the Python notebook. Okay, like suppose I am creating the new notebook
You can
here.
just see the spaces here.
So what exactly happen? It will allow
So
you
I
to
just
use
actually
the
given the
Google
file
Colab
name as
environment to run our
day9 and this is
Python
directly
code
in the space.
online.
So
Okay.
if you just put it
So sometimes if your
in
local
the
machine does not actually
here,
have a module or anything, you can work
as
over
I
here
say right
directly.
hand
But before, when you open
and
this any environment,
now you
you
can just
cannot
see
run anything. You can just see right now. I am just printing here, print
this is actually in the last I did not
hello
use the
world.
pipe, so you will understand it. Wait a minute, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
I cannot print it because it requires a
I hope you
connection
can
to
understand
machine.
it.
This is
I know
actually
this is
directly
already
simple
clear,
running.
but still you
When
can
you
just see.
actually, it will
These
connect
are the
to the
spaces.
virtual machine,
Next
then it
step
is
I will
able to
do to
execute
print
this code.
my age.
So
The
every
age
time,
will
whenever
be
you
in the
click on that,
files
it will
area.
connect to the machine first time,
Five means
and then actually
five
it will
for
allow you
five
to run your
character.
Python
So
code.
my digit will
Suppose
be
you actually have a Jupyter
on this
notebook,
side
you can
and
upload
this
your
is the other
notebook like
spaces.
yesterday I gave it the
Default
assignment.
is
Okay.
left hand format,
So I'm
right
just
hand
telling you
format.
for the
Sorry,
people who are
default
actually
is left
facing
hand
the
format.
issues
And
in
this
their
is the
system
left hand
to run the file.
for the
Like this
right
is
side.
actually the file I wanted to
So you
upload it.
understand it.
Okay.
The
I
next
just
step you will
uploading
see
the
that is
assignment one. Leave
spaces
this.
dot.
Okay. So I just uploaded my file called assignment one.pina file. You can just see this is what actually I was
But
expecting.
if you just
You
see
can easily run
you are
anything
saying
here.
it right,
Okay.
everything is right.
Like running
So
on
you are
the print
specifying that
hello
everything
world
is at
or
left
something
and
like that. Okay.
everything is a left.
So you can upload your file and
And
actually
once you
after,
wanted to print
once
it,
your work is done, you can download the file also. Okay. From Google Colab.
this is I think so
Like
10
here,
pages of
if I am
spaces.
running this, this is the way I executed my code here in the Python
I think
Google
so.
Colab.
Just
And
confirm
after
that
that,
it's correct
once it is done,
or
you can click here
just check.
and you can say directly download the your file. Actually, you can directly download the file also. So no need to work on the local machine. Sometime your machine is slow or that kind of issues are there. You can directly work on the online on a Google Colab. So what exactly today we are doing it? We are just going to check everyone's code. Okay. So this is actually the summation,
1 minute, Abdul.
and
One
few
minute.
people actually have submitted their PNG file like Bhushan, I think so, right? Please, every next time whenever I will give you the assignment, try to submit the IPyNF file, because even
You can see this is
I
actually
wanted to
these
correct
are the
it
symbol
something in your
used
system. I
to
cannot
set
do
the
it. You just gave this directly the
PNG
PNG
format.
files. Okay.
Okay.
So just trying to tell you in the future, like
So
subse
when you
first,
wanted to
I will
print
just
this
open the
particular
Banita
variable out of this is going to be
questions.
in the
Okay.
center, so it
Like
will be
she
in
actually
center
has
formatting.
requested number
So
from the
in the
user,
center formatting, you
and
will
she is
just
running the
put
loop from
this
1 to 11. See this here,
and
1 to
same thing
11.
this
It
is
will print
repeating
1,
for
2,
the
3, 4
seconds.
till 10.
This is
And the number
actually how
was
the
10.
part is actually comes.
So
This
she
is
is
the
able to
same
print the
part which I have actually
print the
explained
table
before in the
this way.
class.
Okay.
Cause
Later, she
this
was actually able to show the code
print
with the this. Okay.
it is
So if
everything
you
will
ask
be
me
inside the
this,
print
I will give you this
everything
marks
will be
around
inside. So this is
95%.
the
Why I will tell you?
IPyNF
Because
string
as
formatting
I
which I
remember
explained
correctly,
is
when I was
we have
just giving you the
steps
assignment,
which you
I
will
was
need to
actually
work
telling you
in
about to
Python
use this
string
particular
formatting.
format to
Okay,
give this kind of
it would
printing.
not be
You
much
can see this
work
printing,
into the
and
class.
Banita, you can see your
But
printing
actually when
also.
you
Okay,
work
just
on
showing
any
you
kind of
in front of this
assignment, here
only.
I will just give
What is
you
the
the string
difference here?
formatting. There are
Can you find out?
selected
There is a
Python 2,
spacing issues.
Python 3,
So for that,
or
actually, I ask you to
Python 11
use this
using, but
particular
the
format.
general things actually they are
Okay.
talking about
if you would have used this particular format, your code would be perfect. Okay, like what actually I am expecting it. Like here, I am just show you this f n. This is your number n. This is your number I. This is your number. Okay, so right now, if you just check, I will comment this.
No question, guys.
And if you would have
According
used
to you,
this
we will
5
move
here.
fast onto this because
Okay, wait a
in
minute.
this
N
position, I was just actually did it for the other batches also.
5
No
here.
question. Thank you,
So
Bhushan.
you can see the exactly the way I was actually expecting it, you are printing it exactly the way. Okay.
Okay.
Every character, this can be maximum 2 character. So you are giving it 2 spacing. This is also 2 spacing, and the maximum this output is 2. Suppose you are giving taking it very big number. Suppose you are taking it like 30 table. Okay, just checking this. So you can see this is still actually okay, but not that good, because I was telling you earlier, like this is actually always you can make this formatting towards the right side also. This is a colon is called right side formatting. If you just see right now 45. So everything is like left hand formatting, I think so. Why actually going for left? Just give me 1 minute. It should be right hand formatting. It is not still going. Okay, because of this parameter. Sorry, I
Hello,
got it.
Sanjay, can you hear me?
It should
Yes,
be
I
this
can hear
way
you. You became a
and then
panelist?
go
Yes.
Yeah.
45.
Okay, guys.
So it
Thank
is
you,
like
everyone.
formatted. You can just see
You
3
guys can
spaces.
leave.
Okay.
I will just leave
So
the
this is just
presentation.
actually the way
Thank
you
you,
can
everyone.
do it. You can also specify this
Yes.
also 3, this up to 3. It's up to you
Three.
how many big numbers
Okay.
you are going to take it. But yes, this is actually just a F string
Okay.
formatting. You are also
So
using the just normal formatting, not the F string formatting.
that should be
I was
good.
telling you try to use it more, so you will learn it in the
Second,
future also. Okay. But I will say your marks are still really good. Okay, you actually done it. So I will just say marks is
hold on. Let me
approximately
minimize
95%. Okay,
all this.
just done.
So this
Opening
is
the
the
second
one,
person file. Okay,
unechoed navigator.
You have to open that.
so like many people actually have done
Make
that,
sure that
but
it's the right one.
as a teaching, I will actually
And
again do
also,
that.
the
Okay,
other thing I
so
wanted
you
to
can
ask
just see
as
this
well was,
person
now as you were showing,
Inam, right?
website
Horsfall
always
Inam.
had
So he actually
one
first taken the user input
um,
integer. Okay,
Yes, Swaroop, exactly. So
integer.
basically,
Okay,
at
I am
first,
sorry, right? Na integer.
byte of
Okay.
Python is available.
So
okay.
if you actually have taken the
You
input, it
already
would be by
actually have
default string.
downloaded the book
Then later
from
he
the
is
link
converting a
in the
string into the
description.
integer, and then printing it. The we are going to print the table of 6. Okay, so you do not just need to write the loop.
So
Just say
it's not
multiple table for the number. Okay,
It actually
for
has
just
very
like
high
this. Okay, 1 to 11 you are running the sequence perfectly fine.
it takes time,
Result
but
equal to result number perfectly fine. This is not the issue, but you did it 2 indentation. That doesn't make sense. Only one indentation will work properly.
Sanjay,
Okay,
everything that you just
and this
spoke
is
of
2
now, all
spacing.
these
This is
techniques that you've touched on and you've gone through over things,
again the
yeah,
2
I didn't
spacing
tell you
is
to
again this result is 2
delete this
spacing. So you
master
actually
and
have done it
play
almost
back and
correct.
record that
Everything.
so that
Okay,
listen to
there
it
is
again
nothing
after
wrong,
class
and
and
you
see
use
if
the
they
F
get
string
it or
also.
I understand
So
it
I do not
correctly.
mind it.
but actually
In
before
this way here also you are just doing
we
it.
will actually
This is
realize
what
that
you did it with the for loop. This is what you
please
did it with
read
the
the
while loop.
particular
So while
code
loop you just
and
see
download
understand
in
it.
the
Many people
classes. You
didn't
will
do that.
understand it
While
literally
loop in the
automatically
before
because
running the while loop, you need to
in the
initialize the
class
variable with the 1.
I cannot just
Later you
read
can
the whole
continue the looping until
file
unless I
clearly.
value becomes 10.
I am covering
Every
all the practical examples.
one time
So when you read it
printing,
na,
you are
you understand it
incrementing the I
clearly.
value to
Then
plus
when you
1.
go through the
So
code,
earlier I
you
was
will
equal
see
to
that
1. You printed this
okay,
statement. After that, you increases I
and
value to I
because you were
plus
being
1.
there
So
in
that
one
I
class
value
because of
became 2.
science background,
2
right?
is less
So
than
that
10.
is I was just
True.
trying to tell
And
you.
then you are again
You are
computing the
not from
value and
engineering
printing it
background.
here. Okay.
No, no.
So this is actually very good because you
You know
actually
the
have done
book,
it both.
are you able
Okay.
to, obviously,
So
you
that's
have
good.
sent us the link, can't you, for the book that we should be reading?
Opening the third one, Rumi.
You know, the link that you put down now on the slides at the
You
bottom,
have used the F string printing and everything is actually correct.
I'm
There
going
is
to read
nothing
it right
wrong.
now.
Okay.
It
Something
is
that,
very
Directly
nice
taking
that this
this.
actually happened.
Fine.
The
Okay.
book link is
So
already
you actually
available
have used the for loop.
when you
So
open the
perfectly
class
fine.
notes.
No
It
issue
is there.
from the grade side.
That particular
And this is
uh,
Vinshan. So what you did it actually multiplying. So you actually assign the numbers. Okay. So when you assign the numbers I equal to 5, this is actually just a number. 5 times you are printing. So this is actually assigning the number A
good morning,
equal to
guys.
this. This is some issue. I understood it. This is again some issue.
In the
Later
past
you
class,
actually did
in
it this for
Friday
looping
class also, in
till
the
13.
Sunday
Okay.
class,
So
I
this should be
just
only
did
this.
the
It would be
basics of
good.
Python,
And it should be
and
actually, you should be
then you
asking the
actually have
input,
given the
enter an
example, and I
integer.
was going
Okay.
fast on the
So this is actually correct actually here. If you just do that right now, enter the integer value 5, you will be getting the table. Okay, but only I was actually asking if you use f string, it would be easy. So f string says f double quotes variable in the curly braces. Okay, variable in the curly braces. Okay, just showing you this. Remove this double quotes, remove this comma, and remove this double quotes, remove this double quotes. Okay, and this comma, and here again the f string. So this is actually just a, I am enforcing you guys to actually use the f string, but because it would be good in the future. Okay, so you are able to print it your table. Only the problem was just only in the indentation and formatting. For that reason I was just saying it, you give this actually 2 spacing, this is 2 and this is 3 actually, or 4, up to you, and then it would be good perfectly. Someone actually is posted some question. Please unmute me. Yes, Gulam, I will just check it out. There are so many people joined later. Okay, 1 minute. I am giving everyone the talking permit. Rumi, so okay, I am checking Thong your code. So if you actually have a question, you can ask me. Prakash also.
Guys, can you check?
Okay.
Devinder, I will just
Okay.
check it out one more time.
So I think so everyone actually has a talking permit now. So you are just actually so what exactly happened? You are actually using this, but you are not understanding the meaning of input. Input means you are actually asking the user what exactly number he wanted to put it. So you cannot be putting directly the argument 5 here. You should be asking the user, okay, enter an integer value. Okay, you should be asking this by passing this particular string to the function, which will be displayed when you execute it. So enter an integer value. It is printed here. You will print 5, then it is good. So here with the while loop, you are doing it perfectly fine, but you should be doing it till 11. Okay, then you will be actually able to print the full file. But what exactly is the issue? P, you are printing it. You should be printing here P, and this should be the, I think so, number, and it should be result, I think so. Okay, 45. So this is your table. Later you can format it with the f string only, but trying to tell you with the while loop, you actually also have run that with the for loop. Okay, but many things was incorrect. Remember, table is always still 10 only, not more than that. So you should not be running the loop till 12, 13 or 15. Okay, just actually one suggestion for you. Now after that, yes sir, your file.
You can put the comment before that if you want to
Yes sir, taking the
consider
input.
that actually as a
Okay,
line, then
fine. 1 to 10 step. You are using it 3 stepping. Perfectly fine. No issue. Num I, num into I. Okay. So this is 5. Okay. So this is good, but only formatting was the issue. Okay. You should have used this. It would have actually would be the best. Yeah, sir. Okay. So what exactly happened? You are using this here, but you are not giving the spaces to make it little good. Now, if you just see your code, you are getting it this. Okay, even if you actually assign the, suppose this number you wanted to print it with the 3 digit, okay, 3 spaces, and this one also with the maximum 2, because it will be always between 1 to 10 only. Okay, so there is no point. And this one also, I'm just printing it with the 3 digit. Okay, so if you just see right now, even I'm printing with the 45, it is good always printing by. Okay, so only one thing was here, you were actually running it till 10. So it was just printing it till this point. So it should be till 11, because 10 will never be executed. This code will run it from the I equal to 1 to I equal to 10. Means this number will never be actually reached. It will check the condition. The I value is less than this value. It will execute. Once it reach to the value, it will not play execute this for loop. Okay. So this is fine. Yes, sir. Now Bhushan, actually you sent this particular picture directly. Okay, so you actually printed it correctly, no issue, but only concern was you could have actually used the f string here. And please next time, please share your IPyNF file. Okay, it would be good. Kalpana, you actually have sent me the zip file. Please do not do that next time. Okay. Somin actually sent directly the py file. So these two file formats are different. What was the issue? CD, Dropbox, work, career era, assignment 1, summation. Okay. So unzip Kalpana, I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, like
So
very
Kalpana's file is
quickly.
assignment.py
Whenever you
now.
are
I
asking
will
something,
open it
please
here.
tell me.
Refresh, please.
You are raising the hand
So
there
this
in
is
the
the file.
screen. So this is actually the range. Okay, in the Python, actually, yes, you are
Perfectly
raising the
fine.
hand.
You
Please
actually
let me
have
know
done
you
it
are
everything correctly.
raising it.
Okay. Entering the number. Please, whenever this is actually just certain
So you are
guideline
raising the hand.
about
I
the
am just
printing.
actually giving you the
Whenever
answer
you will
over here.
actually take the input, try to
Then
make
I
it
just
a little bit
give it and
standard
then I
so
just
that after that you will be actually when someone sees it also they will see like you are actually able to doing it very correctly, like
okay.
statement is starting with the capital letter,
So here
colon
this is
before the
Python
spaces,
range.
so that you can see
Okay,
this is a directly input
like
variable.
for integer
Okay.
range. Okay,
And this
so
printing
this
is
is actually
perfectly
integer
fine.
value. You can
You
see
could have
the
actually
range
also
actually
used
here.
it
And then
something
what
called
actually
this
happened
here.
after this
Okay, just
input?
trying to tell you, just for everyone, not for Kalpana only.
After
Okay,
beyond this particular value,
just
if you
30
save the number,
and later
it
also
will not be
30.
actually
So what
saved in
exactly
this
happen?
particular
It will
value.
makes
It
your
will be
output
again
by
converted
default
back. I will
pretty
just show
good.
you. This is
In
actually
the
the advantage
sense,
of the
okay,
Python.
like 34 is too much. So go with 20 or 10, something like 15
Right
also,
now, this
no
is
issue.
actually the range.
Okay.
Okay,
This is just actually for showing it.
range.
This is our output which I am generating it. Okay. This is your table.
What do you mean
Or
by
you
Uh,
can
range?
actually have given the value
Range
here
is
also,
actually
table of two or something
range
like
is
that
something
heading.
like here. This
Okay.
is actually the value. Suppose
Anyone actually has any
this
question
is
till
the
this point?
variable a, which is bigger than this particular
um,
range value. Okay,
Sanjay,
so
Hey,
I can
Yes.
I
directly
was
put
saying
here a
something.
here.
Yeah,
Like,
please say.
So when you are
could you please allow me to share my screen so that I can also perform this task and you can help
it is
me
working
meanwhile?
correctly, but
Within the class, I do not want to help you in
in
this
this
particular
particular
concern
screen,
because it was a home
which
assignment.
may be
If
larger
you
than
actually
this,
have a
I
question,
can
you can
give
ask
the
me right now.
different natural word size. So this is
Okay,
not the
so
perfect answer.
after this
Okay,
class, if
Yeah, after the class, 5 minutes, I will just give you
so
for the handling it in your
this is the
system.
range.
Okay.
This is
okay, okay,
actually
thank you.
different
Please, yeah,
ranges.
because it's a homework. If I
This
will
is
just
actually for
spending 5 minutes when other people time is just
I
actually
cannot
getting
say. This is
stuck
actually
over
they are
there.
defining it
Okay.
according to C.
Simple. I am using the. I
So
am
this is
having the
here.
same issue with the sending the file. Can I copy paste and I have done with into
So
it
what
here?
exactly
Yeah,
happened
yes,
here?
you can do that, Abdul. You
I
can,
just want to
Abdul, you
show
can
you.
send it here also in the chat. I
So
will
there
get
is
it.
actually
Hmm?
in the Python
So this
code,
is Kalpana. This is yours.
which I
Good.
want to actually
Show me
show.
your code was actually
So
given here
what was
directly. So I
here?
will just execute it actually as a
Firstly,
Python file. Okay. So this
there
is
are
number 45. So
certain
you are generating the output,
functionality
but remember
which is
table
already
is only till
implemented.
10.
Okay,
Okay.
which
So
is
not till
already
15. One thing.
implemented and given
Again,
to
you are
you.
actually asking
Like
me the number. So I think you have written the looping
given
with
it
the for
actually
loop and while loop.
given
Okay.
it
I will just check some in your code.
use
So this is your code. You
for
actually have
loops.
written it
Okay,
taking the
in the
number
Python we
perfectly
have
fine,
many things called
but it should be
modules.
only till
So we
11.
actually
Okay.
use the modules.
And this
There
is
is actually
here.
a
You
standard
are again using
function
it
called
for loop here.
sysmodule.
With the while
This
loop
is the
internally,
module.
there is no
How
need of
this is the
using two
module
loop actually.
actually
Okay.
how
But
to
you are running this while loop
use
until unless you are trying to show the
this
break
module.
statement. This is good, but it
This is
will
the
kill
module.
your time performance. You understand it? Why? You are executing
When
this.
we
This is
execute
actually the
this,
perfect
we
loop,
have to
right?
write
And
import
after that, why while and
this
break?
is actually the standard
That
import,
really doesn't make
then while
sense, and
loop.
it is like you are
This is
trying.
actually
I
what
can
we use in
understand the
any
code,
module.
but
Like
it is not really a right
this is
way.
actually
Mariam, I will
the
just check it
module
out your
which
file.
we write
I will just check it out.
so
1 minute.
there are
Okay.
certain standard
So
modules
see this actually, you
what
could
we
have done
use
it
in
directly
Python.
using the loop in
Standard
the while
modules
assign like
called
this way here. You were just
first
saying it I equal
system
to
module.
1. You could have
Then
done
system
that,
module,
and you could have done
and
that I is less than or equal
method.
to
These are
10.
actually all
Okay. You could
important
have done
modules
that, but
in the
using again inside this while loop
when we
doesn't
are
for loop
using
doesn't
this
make sense. Okay.
functionality means there are
So
certain
this is
functions
actually
like I will
perfect.
just
Okay.
like I will give you
This was
example.
actually the perfect.
Square
I will
root.
just actually rerun it and check.
Square root function is given in the system
45,
module.
45.
You can directly find
So
out
this is not running exactly one
like
next time.
86
Why? Just
percentage,
1 minute.
but
I
before
equal to
using
1.
this
I
square root
equal to
function
I
you have
plus
to
1.
import that particular
Multiplication number
system which is already available. So how
I
we will
is
do?
less than
Import sys.
10.
Okay, like import
What is the
x.
issue here? Why it is
Like
exiting?
import
Wait a
means
minute.
any module you can import it by writing import before the name of the module. Okay, so right now suppose you wanted to find out the square root. Okay, so how do I know which functions are
1 minute.
available over here
Somin.
in this particular module? For checking
Heading
the
should be
functions
before. Perfectly
available
fine. Okay. So yes,
modules,
you are actually taking
this is
this number.
actually
So problem in your system is
by
this
default
here.
over here.
You are taking
And
input from the user in multiple
the
times
module.
inside the while loop. It should
And
be
also if
outside.
you
Okay.
search it out,
Then you
this
can
is
be
the
printing this.
full
You are going to
what
print this
actually
table.
available which
Okay, after that you are using this particular loop for loop here. After that you are using the for loop here. Number get is here, I is here, multiply value is here. Okay, so I think so this should work. 45, 45. So you are printing it till from 1. Why? Some issue again. The funda is before multiplication, we are actually printing it, and incrementing should be done after the printing and actually doing that. Okay, so that was actually the issue. If you again run it, 45, 45. Okay, so this is correct. Now you can just see this your code. The funda was I should be incremented after the displacement, after displaying the statement. Okay, so this is correct here. And there was no need of actually incrementing I in the for loop, because I would be by default incremented in the for loop. Okay, as a step range, it is generating the sequence. So there was no reason of I equal to I plus 1, because I was assigned from the range function. Okay, so this is actually your correction, Somin, fully. Now, got it. Just give me 1 minute. I will assign your files, whatever is a correction. Okay, I will just send it so you guys actually can check your files. Now on the chat, I will just check what is clear. Okay, so got it. Mariam, I will just check right now. 1 minute. Mariam, where did you actually update send the file on the LMS or
I
Gulam?
mailed you, sir. I
Hmm?
mailed you. I
Mailed.
mailed you.
Okay, 1 minute. I will just check. Everyone actually, some people was actually having the issues. Okay, I got it actually 2 mails, but not Mariam. Your mail was not here. Can you check? This is the email ID, sanjay@careerera.us. I am getting Abdul's file. Okay.
Okay,
I will.
sir. I just mailed wrong mail ID, sir.
Okay, no issue. Just check it out again. Okay. I will just say Abdul underscore assignment 1.py. Okay, this is file. Fine. Please just check, send it again. So 1 minute. Sorry, guys. Few people will be waiting, but it is good actually, so that everyone will learn it. What are the different ways of typing it? Okay. So Abdul, one information for you. Like I am not sure. See this here. The code should be written in a such indentation way. You are copy pasting in the text editor. It will not help you out. See this, after for loop there is a colon which you are missing it. Okay. Once you colon is there, you actually have to indent the code. While loop there is a colon. Okay, and when you are doing the while loop, you should be actually taking this input outside. Okay, wait a minute, there is no point of while loop here. Okay, I equal to fine, 1 is here, good, this is good. Okay, this is should good. I think so your code is done, only the indentation issue was there. Let me just check. Python 3 Abdul. Okay, 34 and then again 34. So your code is good, only indentation is issue was there. Okay, you understand it. One thing here, when you are taking the number, converting into the integer, printing the table of this, and this is actually correct. Only one correction was here. You were using the two while, only one while is required where you wanted to do the looping. Okay,
Okay.
so this is actually correct. I will send you your corrected file also. Okay, only Mariam, I just wanted to check yours, otherwise I will start the class next portions. Okay, I couldn't see. I have resent it. Still, I couldn't see it here. You can just check. I am refreshing my email. You can again recheck it. I will type my email ID sanjay@careerera.us. Okay. I don't know what was the issue. I think so. It is yeah. Not showing it right now. Okay.
I'll recheck it, sir.
Yeah, no issue. Perfectly fine. You
Okay.
can just check it out. What was we are going to start today is okay. Let me just close this. Okay. Start. Okay.
They are not giving me here. So can I search it out over here? Integer. It is not allowing.
Pop mini first bin by Jupyter. Not
Sanjay?
yes.
Sorry, it's Abdul here. Sorry to interrupt you. Also, another thing, yesterday I've managed to get a printout of the book of Python.
Hmm.
So, like looking at everything from what we've done so far. And
Hmm.
also another thing, I don't know other participants know as well, on the portal, there's another separate section called video tutorials.
Hmm.
That's somebody else speaking, and they go through everything step by step and they really like, in detail, and that's really I found very useful.
Hmm. It's a
Um,
good thing. See this actually. I will say to you guys also. Learning from the video, nothing is wrong because if you see, I learned all the languages by just watching the videos and actually practicing it. But the problem only rises over there when you do the coding. Sometimes we stuck actually at the problem statement. Someone should be there to guide if we are actually getting stuck with the error. Okay, because resolving the error requires a patience, and sometimes in the new beginners or beginning programming, people actually do not actually have that much patience. Okay, so I will say always watch the video. I do not mind it, but I am trying to cover as much as possible and as much detail as can possible while doing the programming for your understanding better. Okay. Also, now I will just revise what exactly we have covered in the so far. In the previous classes, we actually have gone through the control statements. Okay. So control flow of the Python programs actually deals with if else, and if else statements. Okay. So these are just actually the conditional statements. This is actually the file which I created it yesterday for the students. Okay. So this is just actually, I wrote it actually as a format, which is called the conditional statement. Here is right something called greater than or not equal to or something, some condition over here. Okay. So we have written earlier in the past the program of guessing. So if you do not actually have the else statement and until unless you are not exactly true, it will not print anything in the code. Okay. It is just taking the input. So this is actually always good to use if with the else, because you will get to know if your condition is getting failed, other condition will be by default executed. So it means it will show you some output what is actually happening in the code. Okay. But certainly sometime it actually happens. We wanted to actually try to go it more elaborative and more conditions you wanted to use it. So in the else if, you can actually write it many more else if conditions. Okay. It is not necessary only one else if. You can write it many more conditions like, okay, you can go with that. It's up to you. But I'm trying to say it is not limitations only using one else if. You can go with the multiple else if also. Okay. But if an else statement would be only one, but this can be multiplied. Okay. Means this can be multiple if else statement can be there. N number of them, but it will, this particular loop will actually have only single if, single else, and these many else if statement for the according to the problem statement which we are dealing with. Okay. In this actually only we were looking at it like are we printing it greater or lower, okay, higher or lower, the age we were guessing it. Okay. After that yesterday on Sunday class also we actually have covered it looping. In the looping we used to actually know the loop can be actually written with the for loop also, with the while loop also. Okay. So actually that's the reason actually I have given in the class also, and when we were working in the assignments we were seeing it while
Excuse me,
requires.
Sanjay.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Bhushan here.
Yeah,
Sorry
tell
to
me Bhushan.
interrupt.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, can you please scroll
Up. Okay, just one
to the
minute.
if-else statement?
Yes, I will just do that. Okay, we were in the if else statement here. Yeah.
Yeah. So here in this case we have used statement.
Yes.
So if we have multiple if, then we should have that number.
If we actually have a multiple if, that should be written in the else if conditions only. If you actually have a multiple if condition you wanted to check. So the format says only you
Yeah.
can actually have one if and many else if. Multiple if would be actually converted into else if.
All right. All right. Okay.
Got it? That's the reason I wrote this syntax.
Yeah, I got
You
it.
can actually have only one if, one else, but many number of else if statement internally in the nested blocks. Okay. Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
I will just show you maybe a future one example of the code. That time you will see it. Okay. But yes, that is just actually the standard here. And with the we were actually learning the looping with the while and for loop. So I actually have written the backbone of while after that conditional statement, whatever is the statement would be like any condition like I is less than 10 equal to 10. After that colon,
This is actually condition should be true, only then block of statement will be executed. What is the block of statement? This statement which is written here. Okay, so you can write it multiple statement here. Everything will be executed only when condition is true. Otherwise, it will this particular loop or this statements will never be executed. Okay, this is just actually the fundamental about it. And then we wrote the loop about the same program. We were actually taking it. We were just actually able to run it only one time. Okay, like you can just see this here. If I will execute it, you enter 45, you will say you actually have guessed it little, should be little lower, means the age is little lower, you are guessing it little higher. Okay, so what was the problem here? You need to re-execute it every time to play this game with the user. So with the looping we can do that. So looping, I just actually declared the one condition. This is my conditional statement which is making my loop run until unless user entered it correctly. So I just actually initialize the variable called run true. Age was 34. It is running. This loop will be running until unless this loop keeps running until we set the run equal to false. Okay, so you can understand it. This was actually the fundamental here. So we will actually ask the input number is equal to, then you will actually say yes, and you are setting the condition to end the loop. Set the condition for execution actually has false to end the loop. Okay, so I was just setting it here, run equal to false, otherwise it will be keep on running. Let's see this here. I entered it, your age is 79, little lower, 69, 59, 49, okay, and 39, and it is little layer, 29, then it said little higher. So I will just say 32. Wait a minute.
Sanjay, that is not 59, that is 50 you written there.
Okay, wait a minute, guys. Where this looping goes? I did it somewhere. Something I cut paste, I think so. Do cell operations. It was here, I think so. But you do not know. Yes. Do not know what is inside the box. Wait a minute. Okay? Something is running. Stop execution. Okay. 79, 69, 59, 49, 39, 29. So 29 it told like you are going little bit higher. So I will just say 32. No, I said 34. And that is what exactly happened. It shows this particular display statement. Yeah, you actually guessed it correctly. So I wanted to end the loop this here. So I need to set this condition false. Once I make it false, it will again go to the loop and check it out. Run was false, so this will exit from the loop. Okay. But there was with the while, people actually can use the optional else clause. It is optional. It is not mandatory. People do not actually use it, but by syntax, it is allowed. Okay. So after the while, people can actually have the else statement. So else statement is executed also here because your looping was actually over. So you were saying thanks for using my program and bye bye. Okay. So this was just actually the looping by the while loop actually right now. Okay. So now the same looping we actually have done it with the for looping. For looping is actually can be done with the many different ways. Okay. I was going to tell you in the future. One is called sequence generation. Okay. Second is called by the list, by the tuple, by the dictionary. These are the data structures which we are going to use it in the future. So I just told you only one way. Wait a minute. I just want to clarify about the message little higher or lower, please. Okay. What this little higher and lower means, if you are entering 79, go here. So you can check it out if condition, it is not valid, it's false. Going for the second condition, 79 is less than the age of 34. So this statement is true or false? It is false. So it is printing this here. Oh, you should go little lower. Means you are guessing the age little right now higher. You should reduce the value. That is what actually you should guess little lower about my age. So mean go little low. So that is the reason I was just going it 69, 59 until unless my this statements keep on printing. I actually have to reduce the value. I reduce the value over here 29. That time it actually said, no, you should go little higher. Means this statement executed right now. 29 is less than 34. True. So this was statement was executed. So after that, you can just see once I actually enter 32, still it was same statement. 32 is less than 32. That is true. 32 is less than 34. It is true. So it will again execute the same. When you actually entered 34, it actually went here and this condition was true. So this printed this statement. And after that makes runs equal to false. That's when we end this particular loop. The higher the accuracy. So when I was talking about the for loop statements, there are many ways of writing the for loop. Today, in the chapter also, they have just covered the one topic called sequence generation. Sequence generator in the Python is inbuilt sequence generator. This sequence generator is called range function. So what was the purpose of the range function? Range function is actually called the sequence generator. This will generate the sequence. So there are three methods, three definitions of using the range. Okay, I have written it over here also, and I think so if you also actually have used it, you will know, because someone else in the programming also use this. So we can directly use range just like this here, for I in range to like 10. Okay, print I. So here you are just giving the stop value. When one value is given, that is called stop value. What would be my default value? My default start value is 0, step is 1. So it will be printing the statement from 1 to 9. Yes, Bhushan Gulam. Where is this covered? It was covered a byte of Python in the control flow chapter. This is a chapter which we covered it till now. It was, if you are asking me here, this is actually where you were actually writing the while loop and the content was actually covered, explanation and everything.
Hello,
Okay,
am I
control
audible?
flow. Okay, I did not know the page number, but I am trying to tell you this. Okay,
1 hour
so stop was, this is actually stop number, so it will be printing from 0 to 9. Okay, if you just see this here, we were printing 0 to 9 only. Okay, so if you actually put it here 11, so it will be printing from 0 to 11, 10. Okay, so what if you wanted to actually specify the starting? I wanted to do it with the 1. So starting is 1, stopping is 1, step still will be default value 1. So you can just see I am just able to print this. Okay, but suppose you wanted to say, sir, I wanted to actually do the stepping by 2. So what exactly happened? 1, 3, 5, 7. Sometimes we wanted to generate the primary numbers. Sometimes I wanted to generate the only even numbers. Okay, so these are actually the purpose of using specifying the steps in the future. So this was just actually the examples I gave it yesterday by using all the three kinds. After that, we actually have covered it. What was the purpose of using break? Sometimes in the previous program, when we were using this here, we were setting the conditions. This is a one way of ending the while loop. Okay, execution. There was another way. What was the another way? You can either, I wanted to stop the looping. How can we do that? By setting the condition variables to false. Another way is to stop the looping while on certain condition. Condition was number equal to age. Then you can use the break statement. This break statement will stop the looping by default. Okay. So this is what actually I was using it here. Break statement. The same code is here. Only I disabled this and actually use break statement. So you can just understand it. The same thing, same input. I am just doing it 39, 29. Okay. 32, 34. So same input, everything is same except the fundamental of the using how to terminate the loop actually. Then there was actually another statement which we'll be using in the programming in the control flow called continuous statement. Continuous statement is used to skip certain conditions. So there was actually one program which was given in the book. If you just see here, this while equal to true means this loop will be continuously executing infinitely. Okay, how many times this loop will be running? Infinitely, because you did not actually have any certain condition. Okay, infinite looping until you break it. Okay, until you break the according to condition. Okay, this is what actually is a looping. You are taking user input and you are saying until unless user enter quit, it will do the break here. So means condition when user enter quits, your program stops. If your length of the word which you enter it is less than 5, then what exactly happen? You will say print to small word. Okay, and you will exit. Exit means continue means it will not print this statement. It will directly go to again the while loop. So continue means nothing but skipping the other condition which you wanted to execute internally in the while loop. It will directly jump to here after when you see the continue statement. See this here now. We are going to run the code. Okay. This is my first program. Okay. And then you can just see after this, it was actually printing this 3 statement. Okay. And after that, if you just say this, so what exactly happened? It is comparing the length of the string and it is saying it is less than 5. So 2 small word. Okay. So after that, you can just see if you actually write it quit, then your program stopped here. Okay. So you can understand it if you are doing it continue. So when I was just doing it this, it was just going to this particular place, 2 small word, and after that continue was seated jumping it here. So this statement was not printing when I entered this. So this was the purpose of using the continue clause in the control flow in Python. So this is actually the one
Program we are using if two time, but in control conditions, you said we will use if one time and elif.
you could use a single time. You have seen this here when I was just trying to teach you the if else statement. You can use it if statement one time. Okay. But if you are using if and else with the that particular thing, then you cannot use the second if here. You should be using it else if. So what exactly it will do that?
Okay.
It will by default
Okay, I got it.
you can actually do the certain testing multiple times. I will tell you the funda. I was developing the many codes like, okay, when we develop the, you can say very big code. So what we actually have to do it, you actually have to do the many test cases passing. So what we do the test cases passing, every time we will check it out the conditions. Like I will just tell you, you are taking an input from the user. Okay. Like you are saying in number equal to int input. Okay, I will just say right now input, enter an integer. Okay, and before converting into the int value, what I will do that here, just see, this is actually first value and you enter 34, perfectly fine. So I will just check it out if here type of my number is str. What exactly happened? This would be by default str, right? But what I want to check it out, there is something called number is alpha. I will tell you what is actually it is alphabet. Then what you do it, what you call it, print. So like I will just say positive, please, and like I will just say binary, one's complement and two's complement. Okay, these are just actually the things which you wanted to read. Okay, so the funda was here. If you just see, number was this, and this is actually a statement. Okay, please enter 24, and this is where statement was here. So what is actually number? Number is directly this particular value, and is alpha is a function in the string. We can directly actually say if alphabet is there or not. So they are considering 34 is not actually alphabet. Okay, so what you should be doing it if not alphabet. Okay, means they are checking it if it is a string you actually entered it. Then that time you will give the warning here. Okay, now you will give the warning here. If you just see, please enter the integer value. Okay, this is just actually one testing. After that, again in the second line you will do the second testing, something called if number is less than 0, means print here. Again I am typing the cases. Okay, please enter the positive value. Okay, just trying to tell you how people write the conditions and everything, and this is actually everywhere they actually have to write it. Testing for the alphabet. Okay, alphabet string if. Okay, and here what we are doing the testing for the number should be positive. Okay, if we will actually enter the negative, you will just return it from here. There is a return thing actually I will actually have to teach you when I will go through that. Return will actually makes your program control to outside directly. Whatever is a function return, I will just, when I will teach the function, that time I will teach you what is return. Okay, so if you just see this here, I will just enter what was that. Return is not required because there is no function right now, but yes, you can just see I entered this value. Okay, and then what exactly happened?
Please enter the integer value. What exactly happened? Okay, string you are trying to compare. So this is, if this warning is not coming, you can use the int function. Okay, because on the string I cannot use the int function, otherwise I will get the error. You can just see 1 minute 134, and then execute this statement. Please enter the integer value. Why 34 is alphabet? It was coming false. False, not true.
Like I'm just going to copy this here and doing that 7.
So you can just see both the conditions are satisfied right now. This condition is expecting only when user enter the string. Like just see this here. If I will enter my name and then actually try to check the conditions, so it will say invalid literal, because when I will just give this warning, it should actually exit. Okay, or people used to write it sys.exit function. Okay, exit is actually, okay, I will tell you what exactly happened. Suppose any in programming,
the length of
any error occurs. Okay, so what we actually do that when any error occurs, we exit from the program. How can I use exit it from the program? For that, we actually have to use a module called sys module. What is called this? System module in Python. Okay, it actually has a function called exit function. Why I was writing sys function? Because sys actually module actually has a exit function, which will tell to exit from the code. Okay, so if I will actually use this here before this, okay, import sys. Okay, and when I was just doing it, I can directly exit it with this. You can just see right now one str, and then I will just enter this. You are exiting from the code. Okay, exception occurred due to this. Okay, system error exited with the -1. You can use exit or this kind of statement, but trying to tell you what exactly happened. Abdul is asking something. Wait a minute. Just a question, should we be practicing the code to help our learning in the platform? How we can make our learning more effective? Sorry if I actually asked this question, but just feel everything done so far. So it's a lot to take in. For this, Abdul, actually, I told you whosoever is non-technical background and they are learning the Python. So if you do not know the programming earlier, so this would be very too much to know in the very first time. Okay, actually as a programming. But what exactly happened? You can understand it within the 6 month. I actually have to complete the course. Okay, so I cannot be go very slow with teaching all programming concept. And so I was trying to touch all the kind of the standard Python standard coding practices, which I am just trying to show it to you over here. Okay, but it is not necessary like you need to know these things, but just trying to tell you what was a standard ways. If you go to any data science industry, what are the way programs are written. So you should be able to know, understand it. When suppose user actually are expecting the integer value and user enter a string value, what you will do in the code, that time you will check it out. The number is actually the, if it is actually having the alphabet means any characters. If alphabet is there, it condition is true, so it will actually print the statement call, please enter the integer value and exit from the code. Okay, so this kind of practice is really good when you are working with the Python code. We are writing it in the Jupyter, doesn't make sense. Okay, like I will just show you this. If I have my coding standard here.
Why is the
Okay.
parameter -1 sent into sys.exit?
Okay, most of the time, okay, this is actually very technical questions, but most of the errors people actually notify with the negative numbers. Okay, I will just show you error number with -1. So not here, I am just talking about, they are just talking about very big number. No, sys exit with 1 or -1. What was actually the fundamental about it? I wanted to know what exactly sys -1 returns in the Python. Okay, so -1 tell the program to quit. It basically just stop the Python code from continuing the execution. Minus is just actually the status code that is passed in. Sometimes people actually pass the positive numbers also. But if we will say error, we will always notify with the negative numbers. There are, each number actually has a certain meanings.
Okay, like they were just saying it here, they are executing this statement, imports this is -1 means, and they are printing it. What is that particular -1 means? -1 means 255. There are different error messages and their values are written over here. Exit
Got it,
status with
Sanjay.
the 0 is called no problem occurred. -1 generic error occurred. 2 means parsing error occurred. So I was just doing it -1 byte like that. Okay, there are many standard details are there, but usually people, when actually this kind of test cases are we are doing it, so we will write a generic error. Okay, means
Thanks, Sanjay.
yeah. So today we are going to start the another topic, okay, which is a byte of Python. Wait a minute. We actually have to cover the data structure, but before that I was thinking of touching the our programming modules. In the programming module means control module, operators, those are the basic things. So first chapter basic is done, operators and expression is done, control flow is done. So guys, anyone actually has a questions, please go through the chapters and try to execute the code. For the beginners who are learning the programming, please go to the book. There are many codes are given, just copy paste and execute it and try to understand it. If you actually have any questions, come back to the class, write it and mail me also. I will actually try to explain it your questions in the class. Okay, so today we are going to learn the another important topic is called functions. What are the functions in the any programming language? Functions are called the reusable piece of programs. Okay, means, and now I will just show you your simple standard ways of this function. Okay, so this is actually, I will be writing the module called notes 33, or you can just type it actually as a notes 3. This is actually, we are covering it, the function here. Okay, so in the function, what is called reusable code. Okay, so whenever we wanted to actually reuse the code, suppose you remember correctly, yesterday we were actually asking the number from the user. Okay, remember, if this code simple, the code which I was writing it, enter a number. Okay, and I was actually entering integer number, sorry. Okay, just actually doing it fast. For I in range 1 to 11. Okay, and print f string double quotes number colon 2. Okay, and indented towards the right 3 number space x or asterisk. Okay, and I this should be done with the 2, and then equal to, this should be number multiplied by I. Okay, and that should be indented again with the 5 digit. Let's see. Okay, so what actually I wanted to show it over here is, this is a piece of code which will print it the table of any number. Okay, right? So what exactly happened? I make this particular piece of code. I wanted to use it anywhere multiple times, or suppose yeah, I will write a code call length is given to us for the rectangle. Okay, some value, you will be taking it from the user. Okay, like this program is, what is this particular program? This program is write a program which takes input from user as length and width of rectangle. Okay, and print the area and parameter. Okay, of rectangle. This is actually the program which you wanted to write it in the Python. Okay, so how you will do that? Simple thing was same thing here. Copy. What actually we are typing it right now, and you can just see cost of this item. The item is actually the very first one will go here, and
Sanjay, could you please share that code over the chat
so what
box?
exactly happen if you do which one? Print any information.
The one you just wrote over there upside. The number equal input.
Anything, the same way just sharing. Doing it either
Yes, thank you.
0, you can do it 1 here, 0. So this here, this is width, right? So what you wanted to do that, you are actually taking the user input 2 times and printing the directly what you call it area of rectangle. Okay, and I wanted to angle, sorry, and this is actually nothing but actually what you call it length multiplied by width. Okay, and which you can just print it in the 5 decimal places. Fine, and just done.
This is actually copy paste, and this is actually f string. This is also f string, and this is called parameter. Perimeter, right? Perimeter. Sorry, I am writing it parameter. It's perimeter, I think so.
Then you can just see the result right now. You are getting
Okay.
what is the
Perimeter of the rectangle is called 2 multiply by length into width. 2 into multiply by length plus width actually. Okay. This is a program actually. We were printing it and we are using it user input like 5 and 3. And this is your answers. Okay. So I just wanted to give it a little bit standard in my output. Okay. So just 1 minute.
Sanjay, I am unable to do the control C and control V here.
Where?
This is the way we can
Like I'm doing copying the code from the chat box and trying to paste under the
power is written actually in
Hmm.
terms of
Python, but I'm unable to do that.
01. Okay, e to the power 1 actually.
That I am not sure about the chat box.
No issue.
Really, I am not sure about that. Chat box allow you to copy paste it or not. Really not sure. I can make you the host so that you can just do that. If you want it, I can do that for you. Can I do that?
No, if you can like stay there only for some moment so that I can just type it
It is
exactly.
just like a same assignment code which you actually have written it. Same thing is here. What is new in that?
Okay, this is the same one.
Same assignment code only. I'm printing it. Okay. So you can just see I'm getting the length and width from the user and printing this my area. Okay. But what exactly you wanted to do that? I just wanted to actually print it, take the from the user. I will just say, take 10 rectangle length and width. Okay. 10 rectangles and display the area and there and its parameter perimeter. Okay, so what exactly happened? You wanted to really type the code 10 times, 20 times, 30 times? Really it is not feasible. So in the programming, people what people do it, this kind of code which can be reused multiple times with the different variables. We used it called the function. So for this, people actually use it called the functionality called function. Okay, what was the use? Think about it. I am asking to do that this here. What you can do that? This is here. You can write a for loop. Okay, what is the for loop actually does? It is going to run the 30 times, and after that you will print the code here. So 30 times you are taking the input and this code will be executed. This is a one way of doing it, right? You can just check if I will run this here. 34 23 34 25 34 5. So this is the way what exactly happened. This code I wrote it into the looping here. Okay, but there was smart ways also. So what actually smart ways says, whenever you wanted to do something about the same piece of code which you actually have written it, how can we use it? So in Python or in or any programming language, this kind of functionality is called the functions. Okay, functions are used to declare or reusable code in it. So we can call the function and get the work done. Okay, how can we do that? So just see this here. Okay, wait a minute. This is actually all the comments only, please. Okay, fine. Cell are not executed due to the pending input. What is the input? Okay, I will just terminate that, please. Okay.
So these are the rules. What is the rule? First character should be the letter of alphabet, either uppercase or lowercase, no problem, or Unicode. Okay.
I clean the full text. Okay. So what exactly is a function? Is standard everywhere, every time whenever I was explaining anything in the Python, I am writing the what you call it backbone, or you can say the standard standard format of declaration. Okay, format of declaration.
If you try to declare some variable name with
So what are the standard formation of declaration here? Function. Okay, so how function can works? The very first thing for declaring a function, you need to write it def keyword. Okay, the very first thing called def keyword
these are just naming convention which you can keep on reading it,
will be used. Okay, before function name. Okay, so def keyword function name
Okay. After that, functions are always actually have a open bracket and close bracket. Okay. This is open bracket and this is close bracket. After that, function requires the same called colon. Okay. Colon. So colon here will tell whatever codes you are writing it here, it should be indented. So I am just writing this code here. So this is, you can call it a statement here. Okay, which you wanted to execute or anything about it. This is a standard. So you understand it. After that, you can say your statements are written here. Okay. Statements means which you wanted to display, compute, or do anything actually, or etc. Push anything. So what exactly happened? This was actually the code. I wanted to take the length and width, and then just see this here, length and width. So what actually I will say, compute area and, or you can say area and perimeter. Okay, this is my function name, def function name. After that, here open bracket, close bracket, and then printing the statement which was given over here. But these functions, whenever we will write it, this is called the way name was given actually because of the number of digits they use it. Decimal means 10, you can call it, this is called the argument. After that, within this particular bracket, okay, we can write it argument 1, argument 2, argument 3. Okay, these are the, you can go unlimited. There is no limitations about it, how many argument you can actually have it. So you can actually write the argument like that. Okay. So what are this argument? Here you are passing it. These two variables are required to compute this statement, right? Area requires length and width. So what are the argument here? Length is passed and width is passed. So you can just see this is actually, we can write it here. This is the compute area. I am just writing it actually, just a comment for anyone. Functions takes length and width as input parameter and returns, or returns nothing, and display area and parameter. It will generate the octal value of that particular value of the decimal values. Okay. But hexadecimal you cannot directly print it. So there is actually inbuilt function call. So I will just say 3 with standard way because it would be easy for us to see it. Okay. So this is your function. You declared it. There is no problem. Again, there is a pending input. Where is a pending input? I did not know. Okay. Anywhere we are taking it. This is a function, inbuilt function, which we are going to use it here. So I use hex and number was given. So it will generate it 0x8. I do not want here. So this is here. I just wrote it the function. My function is declared here. Okay. So this is called the function declaration, def function name, bracket, open bracket, close bracket. Within that, you can write the multiple arguments. Okay. So these are the arguments which we wrote it right now. So suppose you wanted to call the function, how we will call it? This is called the function declaration. Okay. And for using the function, we used to call that function calling. How the function can be called? Write the function name and the arguments. You should write it anywhere. It will just call the function. Okay. So this is actually the standard way of calling the function. I wanted to call this particular functions. Okay. And I'm just saying it, length is 5 and width is, okay, just see this here. Let me just do that actually as an input right now, 5 and 10. Okay. And you can just see right now, I just call the function with the 5 actually as a length and width actually as 10. I got this printout statement. So suppose you wanted to do call the same functionality multiple times with the different values, you could have directly done that. I am just actually doing this here, 15, 25, 33, something like that. Okay. So you can see same piece of code. This is actually the function, and these are 4 line. You can be executing it multiple times. Okay. So this is actually just a standard way of how, what was the purpose of function and how it was called and how it was declared. This is called the function declaration, which requires def function name. Okay. After that, bracket, argument 1, argument 2, many argument, closing this, and after that statements. Okay. That was actually just a standard for declaration. Now going to the book. This was just actually for example I showed you. Now going to the book. So in the functions, they were actually saying it. We have learned two functions, what we call it inbuilt Python functions. We actually have already learned it. What we actually have learned it, the very first one was len function. I told you len function. It will use it. It is used to compute the length of different data structures. Okay, data structures or data structures or you can say variables. Okay, like for data types also. Like for string, we can actually directly use a length. Also, we can use it in the future for the list and other places also. It is not just only for the string. Kalpana, you are raising the hand. You can ask me what is the question. Okay, not 80 would be that. Okay, let me just do that 5 and 29. Okay, so when you divide 29 by 5, you will get it quotient 25. Kalpana, do you want to ask anything? So you will get it 25 here. So what would be the remainder?
Yeah, hi.
Remainder would yes,
Y-
tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to, understand like in this Jupyter notebook, right?
Hmm.
In each window, you are writing the code, and every time you will choose that window and you are running, right?
Yes.
And so it's always like this in the Python.
Hmm.
There is no main like the beginning of the
That
program.
those standards I will teach you after a while
Oh,
when I will actually tell you. Okay.
okay.
This is right now I'm just
Okay.
teaching the syntax. There is a main and everything
Oh,
is there, which is not really mandatory, but yes, people write it the code with that way also. Okay.
okay. Sure, sure.
I
Thank
will
you.
teach you because we are talking to the function now. That time I will
Mm.
come. Okay. So range is a function
Okay.
called sequence generator. We actually used it, right? Sequence generator. We actually have used it in from the math module square root sqrt functions, which computes the square root, right? This is actually, we have seen the examples of it till now, these functions. There are anything else they are talking about it, len and range, which we already have seen it. Len, what exactly it will give? Let me just show you. Len, hello world. Okay. What it does, it will return the length of the string right now. Okay. For the list also it will actually be used, but we will show you when these data structures, when I will teach you. This data structure is, I think, just 4 topic here. Okay, after that. So you can just understand it. Len is used, range is also used in the computing the multiples. My square root is also used. So this is just actually, these are the inbuilt functions. Okay, we have many built-in functions which is called len and range. So concept of the function is, I told you, normal building blocks we can be call it multiple times. So functions requires the def keyword to declare the function. Def function name, after then open and close bracket. But a function can actually have the argument, it cannot actually have the argument. Choice is yours. Right now, like they were just showing it this function, you can just see, say hello. Okay, and this is actually what you call it, this is called function declaration. Okay, here say hello function does not actually have any argument. This function does not actually have any argument. The choice can be any, has argument also and non-argument also, no problem. How do we will call the function? Call the function simple, writing the function name and the open bracket and close bracket. This is the way of calling any functions. Either one of the statement is true, result would be true. Only then result would be true. You can call it multiple times. Okay, same this block will be executed multiple times. Okay, so this is just actually the definitions which they were showing it, and they were directly calling the function this here function file name. This was actually the file name. So when it was executing, it was printing 2 times the same statement, hello world, hello world. So how this will works, I already told you what was the fundamental about it, declarations and the calling. Now function requires the parameters. Okay, within this parenthesis, this is actually called they will call it the parenthesis. In this parenthesis we can type the multiple arguments. Okay, so right now they are giving this example. Let me just show you, it would be easy. Okay, so this is actually one function code which they actually have given it to you. It is taking 2 argument and checking which one is actually maximum. Okay, if A is greater than B, then you can print it A is maximum. Both are equal, you can print it both are equal. And you can just say if it is less than, then you can say B is maximum, right? So same, this code was indented. Okay, means this much spacing, this the 4 spacing is there. And this is just actually called the print max function declaration. Okay, print max, which we were learning in the future. So len function, which I was already written it, for which takes two arguments. Okay, on the string data, it will give the length of the string and B. So I'm just printing it. This is my variable. So right now this here, you can just call this particular function. How? You need to pass the value, integer value, 34, 12. Okay, and then you can call it with the 5, 2, 4, 3, 1. Okay, okay, and let me just do that 13 here. Okay. So you can just see 34 was maximum, 11 was maximum. You are again printing it with the same value. Okay. So it will say both are equal. Okay. So all the statements are printed here. So this is just actually the standard ways of doing it. But how the parameters are passed, this is called the parameters. It should be written inside this parenthesis. But what could be the sequence? Okay. And how can we actually define it? You can define this particular parenthesis directly, the parameter just like that. There are many other ways also, standard ways. What actually the standard ways call? So this is actually, they were just showing it. So now they are just calling it something here. Okay, let me just show you simple. You wanted to print it this. Okay, in place of spaces, you wanted to put a dash symbol. Okay? So see this here, so the x variable was outside first. Okay, this is my outside variable. What you call it? So those formatting I am trying to show you here in this line, this example. Global see this example, variable. Then you will understand it. My name is this. What is global variable? If some variable is declared outside the function, these are the variable which I declared it. You can call them format it in a different ways in Python. So this is called global variables. Okay. So this is the global variable x was 15. In the same thing, in the function you pass this particular value, and this value was here x. Okay. It will print the very first time when it was used, it will use this particular value 50. But here you actually reassign the variable x equal to 2. Means the local variable which was there here, it will change the value to 2. But again, when you print it outside value, this particular thing after the function, okay, you are calling the function here, right? After the calling the function, you are printing the x value. So what would be this actually x value? This value or this value? Can anyone tell me this?
50.
50, yeah. So for the I will say non-technical people, this is something called, this x is called the local variable. Local variable which exists only within function only. This value will be by default gone once you come out from the function. Okay, so this is called the local variable because it's inside the function only. So the same value would not be existing outside. Outside there is already a one value which is global variable. So we will be using this particular things. Okay, so just see this particular thing. First time x was printed before this here. Okay, so they were not printing it, they are saying is x is 50 the very first time it is printing because x was here. Okay, at that time there is no local variable, it was taking the value from the outside variable because internally there is no local x assigned. You did not assign it anything here first. Okay, so it was checking it out in the function space, where is the x, it was no x here, it was finding it outside, so it took the value x equal to 50 here. Okay, this is the first statement executed. After that, you assign the internally a local variable called x, which you assign the value to. So they were saying it changed local x to x2. So this is actually the value was shown, which is for the local variable. Internally in the function, you assign the another variable with the same name, Okay, so that's the reason I am calling it this actually variable actually as local, because it's inside the function. You can define it with the same name also, with the other name also, but even in the same name it is taking some value. Okay, you printed it here. When you exit it from the function, outside this particular function there is no x exist except this. So it is actually having the what value, 50 value. So again after that you will print the x value. What you will be printed, x is still 50. Alignment. Okay, But suppose you do not wanted to do this, you wanted to say, sir, I wanted to do
So
something
you can
called
just see this here,
center
the
this
same thing
point.
they were just
Okay,
talking about it
center
called
this
local
align. This is center
variables.
align.
What
Okay,
are the local variables in
center
this?
align. This is left hand align. Okay, and this is right hand align. So center align
Okay.
requires this
These
case
are the
where
local
what
variable
exactly
fundamental
happens
over
here.
here. The same thing they will be actually
While
talking
loading
about it in
this,
the
my name was
next
centered
topic
in the
called
center.
global variable.
Okay, all the character. This is the center based formatting right now. In this place, after
Can we
doing
change
this
the
kind
out
of formatting,
this particular value from the function?
sometime you
Yes,
also
we
need
can
to
change it, but how can we
observe
change
in
it?
the
That is what
process
we are going
one
to
more thing
learn
is
it
there.
after in the next
Suppose
topic.
for this
Okay.
spaces, this
So when
space
we
is like
declare a
this.
variable inside a function definition, okay,
This space is
they
like
are
this.
not
You can
related to
also
any way
specify
or
one
other
more thing.
variable with the
I want
same
to
name.
fill that
Okay,
space with
used
something.
outside
What
the
variable it
function.
could be? I
So
will
it
just
means the
give you one
variable
minute.
that are local to the function only.
If you just put
They
this
this is
space
called
word
the
above
scope
this
of the
word,
variable. Okay,
what
this
exactly
particular
happens?
variable actually have a
You
scope
just
within the
block
function
them
only.
for the all the
All the
variables,
variable that
and
actually
if you
has a
go
scope
in
of the
this,
block they declared in the starting
so
at the
in
point of
place of this
definitions.
space, it is used for
Someone is
output
asking
code actually
something.
as a
Please,
symbol.
can you
In
upload
this
this
case, it is
Python
using
notebook
this
for
symbol.
me
Okay,
to go through before
so
tomorrow's
hope you will
session? Yes,
understand
Fadib,
this.
I will just
If
do
all the
that.
space
Still, we
center
actually have a
align
time. I will do that
exactly
because this is what
so
actually I'm gonna share it in the
whatever
last.
actually I
Okay.
have done it, I would have changed
Is
this
that okay?
5
We
to
can just wait it till that time. If you want it right now, also I can just share it. No, I do not actually have any issue regarding it. Okay. And notes
so
3
you can just see
functions
right now. Wait a
here.
minute, Abdul, 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just doing something. I will just actually
So
finish
you
this.
can just understand it this, how that works. I told you the very first time when we print the value, name X was the first line of the function body. The Python uses the value of the parameter declared in the main block, means outside the function, above the function definitions.
So I was just
When we
finishing
assign
this.
the value, the 2 to
This is
X,
what they were
the
actually
variable
talking
name
here.
X is
When
local
you
to the
go in
function.
the
So
definition
we change
field,
the value of the
they
function
were
in the
saying
function,
hello
value of
inside
X
the
inside the function.
underscore underscore
X is
underscore.
defined in the main block remains
This was
unaffected, means
called
the
as
outside
the
X is no will not be
variable.
changed.
They
It
were
would be the
storing the
same.
variable at
So
the
when you
same
print
point.
it in the last,
This
X is
was
printing the outside value. This is called the global variables. Okay.
so.
Now
Abdul, you were
there's
raising
something
hand.
called
Please
global
tell me what was
statement.
the
Okay.
question.
What is global statement?
Yeah, my
Suppose
question was,
you wanted to, oh, wait a minute
suppose
here.
you want to,
This is called
suppose you
global
want to
statement. They
the
were just
size of
calling
the
it. I will
text,
just say global
or
variables.
like,
You know, this is actually called global variable because
you
it's
mean like,
outside. So how can we
you want to
update
written like print f name 20
update the
string,
global
or like,
variable by using call
if
global
any like
statement?
string, like, you name like say Kumar Raghuveer, like
If
increase
we
by
use global
the
statement, we can
maximum
change outside
value.
value inside a
Guys,
function.
you can just
So how can we
mention.
do
Suppose
that?
my string is like. I will just give you 1 minute. Courtney. Just
Same
give me
function code, I will just take it, copy,
Courtney
paste. Okay.
Castor.
Only before using it here, you actually have to write it global X. So means I am just trying to tell Python interpreter
Okay.
the
Suppose
variable
this
which
is
I will be using
this
it
is more
here.
than 20
Okay,
character.
it will be treated actually as a global variable,
This name is
not the
more than
local
20
variable.
character, and you are
It will
specifying.
be
So in that case, what exactly happened? You actually already specified the less number of character. It will go with the exact number of character, whatever is a character. So this character length, if I will just try to check it out, it would be more than the. It would
why
be
it actually
less
written
of my
because of this
20 character
statement.
because the
Because we have declared X actually as here actually as global variable. So the X when you assign it, it will be by default
string name. I
the
will just
this
check it out
particular
right now.
variable.
The
Okay, so
length
you
of
can
this
just see
string.
this here. The if you wanted to assign a value to the name defined at the top level of the program doesn't in a kind of scope actually as a function,
So if it
you
is
actually
less
have
than
to
that,
tell
then by
Python
default
that the
occupation
name is not local,
this was
this is
actually
global.
minimum space
So
requirement.
for that you actually have
Minimum
to use
space
a global
requirement.
statement.
You are
It is
specifying that
impossible to assign a value to a variable outside a function without global. So they were
but
using
you are
it
not
global
specifying
variable
that more
here,
than that,
which
then
will
it will
telling the
actually
Python
change the
interpreter
case.
this X is
Suppose
not
right
the
now
local variable
if my
here,
age is
it is
something
global
more
variable.
than
So
16,
changing to
what
global
exactly
variable,
happen in that
writing
case?
it,
It
the
will occupy
statement
full
change,
space and it will take
changing
one
to
more space.
global variable X. And right now you can just see
Yeah,
this
Python
particular X
interpreter
would
said,
be 2.
sorry, I
Okay,
think
you can
you're
just
not
see, wait a
explaining what I
minute.
was really meant. Like the word Courtney is
Yes.
written, the
Hmm.
size of the text is
Hmm.
like say 12 or
I wrote
13
it
or
correctly. What
14,
is the issue
the,
here?
the text size. How would you then is there a code for increasing the size of the text,
Function name,
like
you
making the
mentioned
text
X
larger? That's what my question.
text.
Text larger
In the
means
def
you are trying
functions
to
name,
increase the size of the string.
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
mention
yeah.
X.
That's what
How,
I meant.
what you will do, what if you do not
Here.
actually have any text character in that,
No, no,
what you will do,
above
you
from
will
where
increase
we
the size of
start
the
the
text.
program.
So it should be there, right?
So you
Because that
want
is
to
what
basically
actually
have
here.
it like, I will
No,
just
no,
write
second line.
people can do that.
Second line is
Def
this.
There is no
This
def
is here.
specific font.
you mention X in the brackets, but in book it's not mentioned.
Oh, okay, okay. Got it. Because you are directly using that particular variable, global. Sorry, got it. So here, when we are calling this particular function, yes, in the code, actually, that is what it's written here. Correct.
You are
Okay.
talking about the
So if you
printing.
call this,
Printing, I am not sure that may be required, but I don't think so actually is anything actually here.
so when you call that, the function doesn't take any input. It is directly going to use the same variable because you are not passing any input to this function. So you wanted to update this variable. The variable is updated here. File first time 50 was printed, changes global variable to 2. And then if you come outside from the function and that printed the x value was also changed. Okay.
Does it mean that if we don't give global x there, the x outside the function will not be accessible?
X outside the function will be accessible. X is always accessible, right?
Yeah, that's why I was just thinking, why do we even need to give global x?
Because if you do not give the global x, it will ask you what is actually the local variable x reference before assignment. There is no x actually. You are calling this function, it is not actually having any x variable. So how would it will come to know which x you are trying to talk about it over here? If you do not specify it over here global x, it will not able to understand it what is this x variable. When you specify global x, it understood it this x you are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually
Okay.
done this. Okay, we have done that.
So this was actually function global. What was the purpose of global statement? So you will see in the future also when we were actually working in the multiple data structure called dictionary and list, many places we actually have to specify the global when we wanted to update the dictionary or list also, okay, internally. So what are this is actually the topic in the function called default arguments values. So earlier I told you already something called arguments, right? In the functions, what are the actually arguments which we used to call it?
One would be the second index. It can go till the last. So that's
Requires only
the
two.
things they were
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
This
I
is the
told you
second
here
one.
when I was
So
declaring
square
about the
bracket
function,
double
this is
quote,
called the
this is
function
the
argument.
indexing method.
Okay. But how many argument and what are the things? This is called the default argument. When I am just specifying something called the same function,
It is called, they were just talking
let me
about
just take it the variable.
so it is not about the
Any
topic.
simple
I'm
functions, I
going
will
into
just
my
take
string
it this only.
where I was declaring my
Okay,
string.
or I will just do the very first one which I was talking about it, this. Okay, length and width one. So this is here. Okay, where this is what the function which we wrote it, which was actually taking the length and width. Okay, and printing the area of the rectangle and the perimeter of the rectangle.
Double quotes, single quotes, how can we access it? Okay.
So right now these variables are not having any value. Okay, if we wanted to assign,
so this is actually the string which was
if you want to assign
escaping sequence. So there
any default value,
talk about it called concatenation
function arguments, you can write it like this. Function name, okay, def function name, okay. After that, argument 1 equal to some value, argument 2 equal to some value, argument 3 equal to some value, okay, or name equal to xyz. Anything you can just do that, keep on doing it. This is the way we can actually specify the variables default values. Okay, so here I was saying if you do not want to pass the variable when I calling this function, I can say length should be taken actually as 10, width should be taken actually as 30. Okay,
So what is this particular meaning over there? So I will just show you the meaning, then you will understand it, what exactly is the meaning of the default variable. Now I am just calling this particular function. Okay, I do not want it to pass any argument. So if you do not pass any argument, it will take this parameter which was actually having their own default value. Default value for the length was 10, default value for width was 30. So it will take those values. You can see, you can call this particular function multiple times without any argument. It will be keep on taking the default value, which is called the, we can assign it with the argument equal to the value. Okay. So what I was just saying it, argument equal to value 1. Okay. Value 1, value 2, like that. You can just do that many different values. Okay. It is not necessary only strings. You can go with the string, integer, floating point. Okay. So what exactly happened? They were writing it over here. So what actually happened here? There is a one code, simple code. They actually have written it. So we will just take their code also. Say, and the message, whatever message you are passing it, this is your message. And they are talking about it times equal to 1. Okay. So times equal to means once means you are just trying to print this particular word only one time if you do not pass the time value. So this function works well. Okay, let me just check. If you just say word and you say times equal to 5, so 5 value will be assigned here, and this particular string is called message will be multiplied 5 times. So you can just check the answer. So right now hello is okay, word was multiplied by 5 times,
But message is a string, right?
so string multiplied by any value is actually multiplication of that particular string that many times. And I was able to print that. I told you earlier also, right? When we were taking this here, if we were not taking the integer value before that, number multiplied by 5. Okay. So what would be my number multiplied by 5? You are taking it 56. What actually happens? 56, how many times? 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it? So
Yes.
number multiplied by 5 means hello is 5 times. But there is a one confusion which I wanted to clear it out. When we were assigning this particular variable, we can do that this way. This is actually perfectly fine. If you do the function, so concatenating means obtaining a new string that contains the both of the original string. You can use the plus operator to concatenate the string, like they were actually showing one example, career era courses. So they were putting the space over here and printing that particular string. This topic I will cover it in the next set, not required right now. Yeah, this is also not. There was some problem which I wanted to clarify. I think so there is a doubt for me checking that here. Okay. So this is actually simple functions where you can pass the second argument, but it is actually given actually as a default argument. But there is some certain fundamental, just give me 1 minute. Should be constant, should be immutable. Okay. Open the terminal, navigate to the directory where you actually have saved. Yes, here it's written. Got it. So when we actually define the default values, okay, for any argument we are defining it here, it should be always defined it the default values for the last variable from the right side, like just this here. Okay, then if you call this here, it will be giving you the error because this variable doesn't actually have the value. If you pass the value here, it's fine. Okay. Suppose you are just doing it here, what you call it, hello. The first variable is given actually as a default value, but second variable is not given any value. And you are trying to use this, then it's actually error. What they were saying it, this is called the non-default variable, means this particular variable is not actually having the default value, but the value for this particular variable was default value is given. So they were just saying it in the Python, this is called the error. Non-default argument follows by the default argument. So you cannot be defining the functions like this. What is the fundamental here? If you are defining the functions like that, if you are assigning this particular variable in this particular message before, then you should be, this is also you need to do that. Okay. If you are not defining it, Python will always generate the error for this. If you wanted to do that, you can do this way also. You can specify, did not specify any value, but you have to specify if you wanted to give this particular variable actually and default value, fine. But you need to remember the position. Default value can be given to the right side one, but not the left side one. Okay, means this is actually error. You are giving it to the left side one, but right side you didn't give the value. So this is actually error in the Python. Trying to communicate what are the logical and physical line means. Like you have to understand it here. I equal to 5 and print I. Guys, customer care is actually talking about it. Career era people, actually anyone is joining with the any short name, they are not able to figure it out. Please let them know your full names. Okay. Sometimes actually it happens, people actually join it with the very short names. So they will not be able to specify like who actually have done the class today. So Python interpreter knows this statement is ended here. Okay. So you understand it, the concept here. Non-default argument cannot come after the default argument. Okay. This is actually the error which they are talking about it. They actually showed it over here. So this is perfectly fine. But if someone is defining like this, it's invalid in the Python. Okay. Just saying that. So this is what actually I was trying to talk about it before that. Now they were talking about it keyword argument. This is a very technical points. Remember the very first. So I will ask you to go through the one more time. Maybe I will also explain it tomorrow also. But please go through it one time in the home actually. Okay. Because it's an important topic. Like conceptual topics. Okay. So I just wanted to tell Python interpreter my keyword argument. We are talking about it today, no? So keyword argument, when we talk about it, what is a keyword argument, people say? So you already know this, right? But till this variable, it will tell Python this line is ended here. After that, it is going to the second line. So this is perfectly fine. Even if you put it another second semicolon here, that is also fine. Okay. Till this function, what is this called? These are the, what you call it? These are, you call it default arguments for the B value and C value. You are just defining it that. So this is your default arguments. But suppose what you wanted to do that, you wanted to do this here. When we call this particular function first time with this particular value. So 3 was given to A, 7 was given to B, C was taken actually as 10. So if you just print this particular value, you can just see this here. A is 3, B is 7, C is 10. Okay. Now, if I will try to change the value by passing only two variables, but I wanted to assign the second value to directly the C value. So you can type it like this. This is called the directly assigning with the argument. What was the argument here? C. So you are assigning it C equal to 24 and calling the function. So you can just see A is 25, B is 5 and C is 24. Okay. Third argument again here. This is also keyword argument. You are not talking about it where C is declared at the third place, A is declared at the first place. It doesn't matter. You are directly specifying in the with the argument value directly. So this is also valid in the Python. Okay. So you can just see this here. A is 100, B is 5, C is 10. This is also known as actually as a topic called keyword argument. You can call the function with the all the argument which is given and assign the value in any order. It doesn't matter. Okay. So right now, if I will just talk about it here, C is equal to 5, A equal to 100, or I will just say B equal to 100 and A equal to 10. You can assign it and call it. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine for the Python to understand it. You are specifying these particular variable, these values. Okay. So it doesn't matter in which order you are passing the value, but you are assigning it directly by the variable names, argument names. So it's perfectly fine in Python. You can just see this here. We have some function that actually have a many parameters. You wanted to specify only some of them, but you actually can give them the only such parameter by naming them. Okay. This is called the keyword argument. You can use the name keyword instead of their positions. So we are not talking about this particular, it will go to the A or B. So you can directly assign it. This is actually will given to the non-default, you can say non-default argument, and this is actually directly with the naming. Okay, this is called the keyword argument, these two, and this is okay.
So you took randomly.
Pardon?
You took randomly the numbers.
I
Like,
took no. This is actually just for the explanation.
okay.
What do you mean by the I took the number randomly? It is just directly passing the argument. So this was actually according to position it will go. This 3 will go to the first one, A, and the 7 will go to the B, second argument, because this is a position argument right now. When you call this way, then it will becomes a keyword argument. The 25 will go to the very first one, but here it is actually directly assigning to this particular variable C. So it is directly going 24 to this particular C variable. Here you are directly assigning, it doesn't matter in which order you actually specified in the function. You can specify here with any order, but you actually have to specify with the key argument name actually. Okay, what was the keyword over there? So that was actually is the fundamental over here. We can do that, this kind of naming also.
Actually, confusion is happening that A doesn't given any numbers and B gave and C gave also. That's why.
So this is what actually I told you over here, the how we will actually define the default argument. Not necessarily all the argument will be given the value. Only the argument which you actually wanted to declare it the default value should be done from the right side. Okay, from right to left. So if you are specifying this value, perfectly fine. You are not specifying this value, perfectly fine. The very first argument according to the position will be taken by this particular variable. Right now you are passing 2, so it is going, the 5 value will go to the times, word will be given to the message. Okay, but right now what exactly happened, sometimes you wanted to specify directly times equal to 5, and you will just call this here. I will just show you another, the same method which actually we topped it here. Suppose you wanted to do this here, say I will just say C equal to what was that, times equal to 10, and then message equal to you can directly pass the variable, but you cannot pass the message here because you did not actually have the what you call it. I think so it should be done message equal to you can say welcome, where I was just doing it my operators here. So you can just see this is because of the position. I already know what is my variable name. According to the name, I assign the values to them. So you can actually go into any order the way it was written. So it means this is okay. Even if you write it this way also, that is also okay. This is also okay. If there are multiple arguments, you can actually combine it with A, B, C, C is before, B is before. It doesn't matter because you are specifying with their names. Okay. That is what actually is the way of calling in the keyword argument. Okay, many places like if you just see the function definitions, they actually have many more argument like help, range. You can just see range function actually has it. This is the range. It will always have these argument. Okay. So they actually have given it a step default value. What is the step default value? Start actually has a default value as 0. Stop actually is omitted, and like when you call it this here, this is actually given by default the default value. This is also given the default values. Okay, so you can understand it. They are just saying it start is stop is omitted, but this is just actually the way they actually have given the default values. So we were able to call it with the stop also because default value is given for the start. So how they were actually doing it, there the function declarations are there internally. When you see this kind of function implementation, you will understand it how default value are given and how can we call it by just passing the values. So we were able to pass this particular argument with their value in any order. You can specify stop first, step later, start anywhere, no issue about that. Okay, like here. Okay, I did not know what is this. I will just say here my step is equal to 5, start is equal to, I will just say stop equal to 100 and start equal to 22. Okay, this was the original number. Okay, and what exactly happened, you are pushing 0 from this side, from the right side. Okay, so it will not take any keyword argument. So no keyword argument is specified. So in this function, it is not specified, so we cannot use it. If in the somewhere it is specified, then we can use it. So I was thinking it's specified, but they were saying there is no specification about the keyword argument. So we cannot use it. Now the last topic in the functions, we are going to talk about it, this. Okay. How we will
Uh,
actually, yes.
why
Ask.
this? Why it was refused to
Because
print?
this particular functionality internally implemented does not actually use the keyword argument. Means I am defining my function, def function name. If I am not defining this here, I will just directly defining it start, stop, and step. If I have written like this, I did not actually given the value directly like that. Okay. So they were just saying it, if you are not directly giving the value, so you cannot directly specify that way. So they were just saying it, the functionality which was implemented is not written actually as a keyword argument. Okay. Other functions I will actually show you in the future, which we can actually use it actually as a keyword argument, but range is not the one. If number is 32, if you do the left shift, it will be 64. If number is 8, just go through it one more time today after the class, and if you actually have any confusion, you can ask it about it tomorrow. Keyword argument. What was my number? Okay, yeah, please, because once actually one time you will read it now, you will get to know more detail, and then you will ask it, it would be really good. So this is actually the main and concern and toughest topic in the they call it functions. So this is the advanced topic, I will just say, because many people did not actually use it. Even the people who are working in the Python 3-4 years, they may know, but nobody used it. Okay. What is it called? The variable argument parameters. So sometimes you wanted to write a function which can take it any number of argument. Okay. Means you remember when you define the,
Sanjay,
suppose I wanted to
so
write a
does this
function, I will
stick
just
just
show
to
you. Wait a
Python,
minute.
or are we gonna apply all these things into our data science?
You are going to apply this. Okay, I will just show you. This is not the one. You should be learning it, because these are the they must be showing here example, so I will just do that. The problem. Function variable argument. This is the function. Like the features, if somebody will be using that operator in the code, I declare the function, this one, total, control X. Okay. So what is this actually variable declaration means here? So this was is just a fundamental. So variable declaration means A is given one value, and this single star and double star tells Python interpreter that these arguments are called actually as a variable argument, and the number value will be taken from this particular keywords. You can understand it. Let me just show you this here. So very first time this particular variable is taken actually as a single string. So single asterisk is called actually as a iterating through the all the items in the tuple. Single asterisk, when you declare it, it is called tuple. When you declare anything with the double asterisk, it is called the dictionary. So maybe this topic I will also take it again one more time when I will declare just teach you the data structures in Python. Okay, we are going to cover maybe tomorrow. This is before the module, I will cover the topic called data structures. In this, we will be covering list, tuple, dictionary, and the sets. These are the 4 topics which we'll be covering. So what exactly happened in the list? Actually, in the 10 minutes, I can just teach it a little bit. Okay. So what exactly I wanted to teach you? In the Python, there is something called list data structures. List data structures is nothing but similar to array in high level language. If you do it multiple times, you are doing it 2 times left shift. C, C++, multiplying by 2, it means you are multiplying by the 4 value. Okay, similar to that. Not exactly the same, but similar. Like I can declare a list call, I will say list variable call name list. Okay, I just wanted to name the variable name is actually name list. You can declare it with the square bracket, creating a
Can you
list
send it on
with,
the number 8 into
this is called creating an
since
empty
16 again
list.
is
Okay,
multiplied by 2 and
with this
becomes
particular
32.
parameter.
But then
You can also
in
create
this binary
name
operation,
list.
right,
I will
which
just
you're
say
showing
this
as
is
1000
what you
and
call
then
it,
1 million,
number list.
that
You can also
adding
call it
also
by
uses it.
this calling the list class. Okay, this is called calling the list
Okay.
class by open and close parenthesis. This is also the list only. Just see this here.
These are the two methods. Okay, these are the two ways to create a list. Okay, the first way is this one. Second way is first method.
Thanks.
So that is actually just a fundamental about the left shift operations.
And this is the
Similarly,
second
we can
method.
do it for the right shift
And
operations.
how do I know like this is actually what I'm declaring it is actually the list?
Whatever I
You
just
can just see this here.
this is actually
After executing this,
okay.
a type of
Yes, this is actually
name
called
list.
left
What
shift
is this here?
operations. Now we were going for the right shift, copy, paste. Okay, this is a right shift. In the right shift, what exactly happened? From the left, 0 would be pushed into the number. So what exactly happened? This was
So it will tell you what is actually this data structure. Both are structures is list. Okay. So there are many more details which I will be sharing it, but I told you this is actually the list in which you can also declare it any list with the what you call it. I suppose I wanted to declare a name list again with the some default values. Right now, what we are going to do that declaring a list with default values, right? How do we do that? I just want to declare it this with the 10, 20, 40, 60. These are the name list, right? So I will just say in okay, A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. Okay. So these are the default name. I can declare it like this. Okay. This is only the one method. Okay. To declaring with the method, you directly you need to write it and number list. Okay. So this will be 45, 10. This is actually. So this is actually declaring a list, or you can say clearing a list. Okay. Creating a list with the default value. So this is actually another way of creating a list, but in this way only default values are given only this way only. This is only one method. Okay. So what exactly they were just saying it here. So they were not talking about anything here. So I think so this topic I will cover it in the next class only, but I am just gonna cover the data structures which I am just covering it. Okay. Wait a minute.
Okay. This is actually the fourth operators which we actually have learned it. There are still two more. This is called bitwise operators. There are
so what are these data structures? I told you this is actually the main part. One, cut. I can paste it here.
And okay, this I will just write it. Bitwise logically.
Not happening. Okay.
And this is bitwise logically
undo cell operations, undo cut.
logically.
Okay, I will just copy paste it. Cut was not happening. One, paste. Okay. So this is actually the very first topic we are going to cover it called the list data structures.
Okay. Bitwise and bitwise or bitwise XOR. Bitwise invert is there. Okay, 1 minute.
So in the list data structures, how can we do that? I told you two things. How can we create a list? Okay. So how can we create it? These are the two methods which we actually have learned it right now. Even we can print a list like this, print name list. Okay. And print number list also. Okay. The one which we created it. Right now, both places, you know, both the values are nil actually. There is nothing. It's directly the empty list. And then actually I told you how to create a number list with the, you can call it this way. Okay. So this is actually with the default values. How can we create a list? Again, copy paste this. You can just check this. These are the values you declared it in the list. So it is nothing but each variable. Third topic is called how to access the value in the list. Okay. See, it is actually it is same way as string called indexing, right? You remember indexing? So indexing is nothing but this value would be given actually as 0. This value is given actually as 1. This value actually has given actually as 2. So you can just see this here. If I will write it name list 0 with the square bracket, this is called the, what is this method called indexing. Okay.
I will be saving this actually as a 2-digit number. Okay. And number in the binary is
okay. So this is actually the very first value. The same way you can print the second value. So we can actually do it just similar to list string only, same thing. But if you go beyond your element, right now I have 3 element. I try to access the 4th element here. What will actually happen? Python will give me the error here. Okay. List index out of range means list is not there and you are trying to access it.
It means this value, these are the values for the bitwise. Okay, 0 0. This is actually the positions where they are doing it. So very
Abdul, I will check it out, but you actually have to start your Anaconda. I cannot wait it for 15-20 minutes to your start your Anaconda thing. Please, actually, you have to take care of it. Otherwise, you can directly open your Google Colab and I will show you how to execute your notebook. Okay? Because no one can wait for this actually your Anaconda to start in your system 15-20 minutes like that. Okay, guys. So this is actually just a way how can you access it. But remember, this is 0 indexing. This is 1 indexing. This is the 2 indexing. The same way we can access the number list, 0 indexing, 1 indexing, 2 indexing. I can just see this here. I was just going for the number list, copy, number list, and this is 0 variable. You can access it. That is integer value. Same way I can access it with the 1 variable. Okay. Same thing with the 2 variable because only 3 variables are there. So I told you earlier inbuilt function, right? Inbuilt function called len. Len can be used with the list also. Okay. You can just check here. I am printing it len of the number list. It will tell me how many elements are there in the number list. Similarly, you can use it with the name list also.
After the colon, it will print the binary of that particular variable. If
you can see, I told you inbuilt functions len can be used with the list. It can be used with the string also. Okay. So this is just actually the way sometimes you wanted to create a list and after wanted to know how many elements are there in the list, we can directly call the len function with the list actually as an argument. It will tell me how many elements are there in the list. Okay. So what we actually have learned it right now in the list data structure, we have learned it how to create a list, empty list. The very first method by creating the square bracket. The second method is with which you can call it the list class. Okay, calling the list class by the just actually the open argument. So it will also create the empty list, the very first thing. Now second thing, suppose you wanted to create a list with the default values. Okay, default values. So you can directly pass it with the square bracket these values. Okay, so this is actually just a way of creating any list with the default values, which I showed you. How to access a value in the list? By just actually there is a method called indexing. By the indexing, we can actually access it, each element with the indexing value 0, 1, 2, 3. So what exactly happened right now, you know len function, right? So if I will just say for loop index in what you call it, in range length of name list. So what exactly happened now, you will just see I'm trying to print the index here. So what this particular function range does, range is like if I will just say range 3, what it will generate? It will generate 0, 1 and 2, right? According to the previous knowledge. So when I'm passing it length of name list will return 3 value, right? And range of 3 will return 0, 1, 2. So what would be my index printed here? 0, 1, 2. So I'm just using the f string here, double quotes, right? So if you just see here till this point, I am just printing my by the string. This is you can call it index value. Index is this, okay? And the value at that index in the list, value in the list is, what is the value here? I can call it number list and sorry, I'm calling it name list, right? Name list variable. And what is this called? Index. So right now I'm trying to access the way I was just doing it indexing list here. I am accessing it in the for loop. So this is actually, you can say at that index, these are the values in the name list. Okay. So what actually I did it? Same indexing. Index value is get it from the looping. This loop was printing 0, 1, 2. Why it is printing 0, 1, 2? Because len function of this was returning the 3 value. 3 value was passed to range function. It will generate the sequence 0, 1, 2, which is assigned to the index variable.
and that variable was used to actually get the value from the list. This is actually our list. So this will actually it is doing it. It is doing it name list 0, name list 1, and then name list 2, right? This is what they were just doing it, generating it. Remember, it will not generate the 3 value, so it is very safe to iterate the list like this. So this is actually just an example to iterate the list and display its value. Okay, I think so. I will end the class here only. But trying to tell you, I told you for loop actually has a many methods and many things to do. This is one way of actually doing it with the range. Okay. Sir, need an explanation of the var web parameter in the next session. Yes, so I mean, actually, I was not doing it today because I need to actually told you all the kind of data structures. Okay, so I did not actually explain it today, this particular function which I was about to explain it. It will be done after the class. So let it be there. It will be actually covered in the future classes. Okay, this topic would be covered in the future class. Okay, I will just say future class once I will covered all the data structures.
Sanjay, you use the method list to initialize the list, right? So
Yes.
by any chance, does that method take in some input parameters, the list method itself?
Means here
uh,
you are talking
y-
about this here.
yeah. Within the list, if for example, give 5, will it specify that, it's not in here? Yeah, below there is a method list.
No, it will not take.
Okay, it does not take any parameter. It is just to
I don't think so.
initialize it.
It will take it. It doesn't actually. Object is not iterable, so it means it will not take any parameter. List is
And
just like a
similarly,
default class.
in the square brackets above also, right? We cannot
You can
specify, for
put it. You
example.
can specify any value. That is called the
Uh-huh.
this way default value. If you are putting it 5, 5 is a default value here.
Okay, no, because why I was asking this, you said it is like arrays, right? So in arrays, we will give a
Sir,
specific
in
length
the,
of
I
that.
guess,
Wait. Huh?
sir,
Please
I
go
guess
ahead.
in the second method, it is calling
I'm
the
not done yet.
functions.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Just give me 1 minute actually. Speak one by one. Yeah, please ask.
If in C, right, we will give array length, right? Normally, we will specify beforehand that
Okay.
this list will have 5 or 6
Okay. Just telling you here, please, if your question, it's infinite length. Python will manage itself, the capacity, which you are talking about it in C, we actually have to specify what is the array length. Python by default manages infinite capacity. Okay. So do not worry about it. What would be the length of this string?
Okay, so we will
List.
not be able to confine it. What is what you're saying, right? In Python, we cannot do that.
Yes, Python is actually, that's the reason people actually try to use it more often comparison to any other language. Like if I am taking an A exam, I will take it easily because I will work with the Python because I do not need to spend time in a declarations.
Got it.
Directly,
Okay.
it's easy. Okay.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Now you will ask, like your question is done. Like if you specify here values, then it is called the default values you are trying to create a list. So this is what actually I told you to create an empty list. These are the two methods, only empty list. Two ways to create an empty list. Okay, only these are just actually the method. In the normal default ways, you can actually do it by many different values. I am not talking about it. And the other reason also, there is a one difference which you were talking about it. Then I will just tell you because I was not going with the documentation. I was just going with the simple my experience. I will go with the documentation more again. So list actually can take different types of data type altogether. That is actually also one benefit of the using in the Python. Okay, so means what is the meaning of different data types? Different data types would be integer, float, string, bool. Okay, so these are all the type you can actually store it in together. Right now I was just doing it only name and number. So I will just say a person. Okay, I am just taking the person detail. What is his name? Like my name, actually I will not use my name, please. ABC. Okay, and after that age, I will just say 12. Okay,
income, I will say 10,000, and you can say expenses. I am like, okay, something, this is his expenses. And after that, what is this? You can say ask any question, true and false. Okay, false. So I'm trying to say this is the way Python list is actually the way you can actually store all the kind of data type all together. In the
Mm-hmm.
other languages, it's not the fundamental.
Yeah.
That's the reason actually it is. I was just trying to specify it. Okay. This is
Okay.
actually one good thing about the Python is like, sorry, what actually happened? I just did it. Paste below. Yeah. So this is actually, you can do it with the all the data types. I wrote it somewhere here. Control X. Yes. Okay. So it will actually take all the data types in the single list. You can do it actually that way.
Mm-hmm.
Please, I will start it in the next class again in the from the detail. But Kalpana, you were actually asking me something. Someone was saying actually, I think so. Kalpana, you only actually asking. Can you tell me what was your question? Okay, I'm not getting your voice, so I'm not sure if you wanted to ask it. So what exactly we actually have covered in the, no sir, it wasn't me. Okay, sorry, actually, I don't know who was actually there. Somebody was speaking at that time. I was just actually wanted to know who was actually asking. Hmm. Okay. So what actually today we actually have covered? We have covered almost all the kinds of functions details, how to use the function and what was the need of the functions. Okay. In the functions, we actually have learned it mainly topics called local variable. What is actually the local variable, or we can call it actually also the topic called scope of the variable. Okay, I will go into the little bit more detail about the scope in the future, but its scope is like this is actually having the outside scope. Even inside it doesn't actually have any scope. This is this scope of this particular variable. Whenever you declared it local, it will be actually end as soon as you will go out of this particular functions. So this is called the scoping. Scoping goes with the nested label. I will teach you that actually also when actually we'll come to that particular little bit more detail about the functions. Then we actually have told you, like, if you wanted to update outside variable, which is a global variable, how can we do that? By using the global statement. Then we actually talk about it in the functions. How can we specify the default argument variables? Okay, like, but you should, if you are not specifying some argument variable actually as default value, so you should be actually, it should be always in the left side. Okay, that was a second concept. Now then there was actually something when you specify the variables with their argument name. This is called the keyword argument. You can specify in any order the way it was defined. It is not necessary. You can specify the values in any order. Okay, but if you do not specify in any order, the very first value will be given to very first element. Okay, the 25 will be assigned to A, and after that C will be assigned to 24. B is by default 5. So this was actually just the concept which we have learned it. I was actually trying to take one topic, but that I cannot do it because it was talking about these two things called these two data structure, tuple and the dictionary, which you did not know. If you do not know, if I will try to explain this, you will not able to understand it. So it's better once we actually cover these topics, which is actually the data structure topic, then we will be actually able to come to the all the same function again. Okay, so this would be in the next class, maybe tomorrow class actually I will cover the list. That is all from the today's. I will just share the notes, the notes 3 and notes 4. Yeah, okay. 1 minute, guys. I will share the notes. Then you guys can actually leave. Today we will actually have any assignment? No, today I am not giving any assignment. Once list will be done, that would be your first, second assignment. Okay. So we are not actually able to do the list, so there is no point today. Okay, notes 3 I shared, and notes 4 I will just share. Wait a minute. So A is greater than B, it's a false condition, so you will be getting the result actually as false, right? I don't think so. Actually, I declared the notes. It was silent, untitled. Just give me 1 minute. No, I was just doing it something called list. Okay. Next one is called print.
A is greater than, you can use it.
Where is my list gone?
Equal to.
I think so. It's gone again. I actually have to write it on that day.
There is another
I
operator
couldn't
called
see it
less
here.
than value. A
I
is
closed
less
it.
than B.
No issue.
Right?
I will actually start it again from the
With
list.
spacing
Okay.
used, there is no
So
problem.
anyone who was actually having the
You can
question, they can
create
stay.
it
Otherwise,
with
everyone can leave.
space. Okay. This is
Anita,
also
do
fine.
you asking
Then
at
there
that
is
time
another
any
operator.
questions?
A is less than B. This is true, and this is less
No,
than
sir,
B.
it was actually about the assignment only. I thought I'd submitted, but it's not available. So it
Okay.
was regarding that only.
First two
Okay,
are
okay, sure.
false. These two
Thank
are
you.
correct.
So
Thank you.
everyone, we will meet
The
tomorrow.
first one was
Who's actually attending the Sunday
equal
class?
to B.
Hmm?
That is also false. Print A
Okay, we
is
can leave
greater
right
than
now.
B.
Abdul, you actually have a question. You can show me if your system can start early.
These are just actually the
Abdul, are you
operators.
there?
We will be testing it with the if condition in future.
I couldn't see.
But these are the
Anyone
operators.
wanted to
Yes.
show something on their
When
machine?
you wanted to say
Yes,
A
Sanjay.
is
Actually,
equal
I
to
am
B,
having problem.
you are
Can I
just
share my
comparing
screen?
both the
Yes, you can actually. You have to join
variables.
actually as a
So
panelist.
this is
Do that.
comparing both the
Thank you.
variables as equal. This
Yeah.
is comparing both the variables are not equal. That's the reason you are getting the true.
Sure, Vinshan.
So these are just actually the operators.
Thank you,
which we are
everyone.
using
Let's
to
meet
show
next week
the,
or maybe
what
tomorrow
you call it,
for the
at
people
that
who
time
are
was
attending.
comparisons. Okay. So you understand it. What are these operators? These are the
Is
all
my
six
screen
operators
visible?
that we will be using.
You should not be until unless I will stop my screen share now. You can do that.
It's already 8:26. If anyone actually has any question, you can ask it. We are going to the second chapter only.
Now,
And I already
Yeah,
have
it's
covered
visible.
all the
Tell me.
operator which was actually given in this
when I
particular
am
chapter.
opening a new tab,
Like they were just showing it.
so it's not open.
There are some
See,
shortcuts which I can actually also cover it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Like simple these shortcuts.
Error occurred while creating a new notebook.
This is
Okay.
more than enough. I will just show you
Okay. Wait a minute.
more
Wait a minute.
information in this
It
one.
could be the issue.
So this document I will again reshare with you
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
I will
How you were
reshare
actually
the
starting your
information
Jupyter notebook? Can you show me that?
in the tomorrow class. Okay, from the notes
same
too.
way.
What
No, no,
you
no.
just need
Close
to do,
everything and just tell me how in the starting you are
connect
actually
with the
starting your
second
Jupyter
chapter.
notebook.
Do I
Quit.
click on
Just
quit?
say
Quit.
actually the operators we actually already have covered. There are many more things. Evaluation.
Quit or close all the
which we will
tab,
be
please.
covering it. After that, my second chapter is over. Then we will be talking about the control flow is called conditional statements and these things which we will learning it tomorrow class. Okay, that would be taking conditioning and the looping and those things will come over here. Then I think so you will actually, once you know till this position, okay, you will be able to write the code. Only you need to cover these three chapter basic.
Not happening. You can close all the tab. I am just trying to tell you. Just close the Jupyter tab.
Still we are learning the operators and I will be giving very small assignments like multiply.
You are closing the full browser. Okay, just do that. No issue. Close that. No issue. Leave it. Okay. Yeah. So how you are starting your Jupyter?
I think so. We will actually end it up over here only. 2 minutes are left. I will just show you one
Okay.
simple examples here. Suppose in Python.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Taking the numbers, taking the input.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you are actually going this way.
Okay.
Okay.
For
Can you
that,
give me your
this
machine
one
access?
inbuilt function is there. Inbuilt function is there.
Just 1 minute.
known as
You got
actually
given that? Approved?
function. Okay. So what exactly happened? How you will be using that particular?
Wait a minute.
Suppose you
Not
want
this
to
one,
take a
please.
number
Sorry.
called number 1. You are wanted to use
Here.
the input from
If
user
I wanted to
and
create
print
it
the
here,
number. Okay.
text file. So what I was looking at it, maybe you do not actually have the permission when you are doing it outside. Just give me 1 minute. Or it would be something regarding your system at that time. Wait a minute. Now you are able to do that. So it was just actually your system issues with the browser only.
Because
Why this is resolved?
everything is there.
You can just open it, create it any file it will does.
So it's actually the same thing.
Sometimes it's a browser because you are running it Jupyter. Just close it and actually it will work by default.
It's actually just asking user to give the number and that number
Okay.
I'm printing it. Just see. This is actually when
I want to
click
ask
it,
one more
it is
thing.
waiting for my input.
Can I stop here?
54.
You can stop screen share,
printed
please.
that particular code. You can just say, I will just write it here. The input number is, you just printed this number. Okay.
Is it stopped?
You actually entered it.
I don't know. You actually still it's I can see your screen. Now it is stopped. Yes.
Yeah. So what are the outstanding tips to get all the topic in very rapid way? Actually, by reading the book and by watching the videos,
Whatever
doesn't.
input you take,
it will take more time, Sanjay. So
I will tell you, reading the book will not take time if you are actually trying to read it actually as a novel.
yeah,
I will say first time, try to just understand it and just go through it in a one flow. Just so that you will get to know what are the things in the Python later when we are going into the more detail, then you will understand it. Okay, I read this is the fundamental what they were actually teaching on that time. I'm not asking you to actually learn it by the book. I will be covering everything in the book, but if you actually have the before that knowledge, because if you are not from the tech background, it would be little tough for the very first time you are learning the language.
yes,
It's your boy Papa React, and I am back
Am I
with
right?
yes,
absolute
very right.
crazy
So for
video
that
content,
reason, it
guys.
would be good because
If you're excited for this,
the people who
go
are actually
ahead,
doing the
smash
coding,
the
they
thumbs
already
up
know a
button,
lot of
and let me
things
know in
from
the
the
comments
starting.
right now
You are
what
just
are you looking
new. So
forward
for
to
that
and
reason,
what is
it
going
is
to
very
certain.
good in the
I don't know
starting
what
if you
words
actually
today, guys,
just
but you
cover
guys
the
are unreal. This
first
is going to
time
be
just the
going
reading
to
of
an
the book,
incredible,
because going through
incredible
the
journey.
videos
And
takes
guys,
hell
I'm
amount
excited
of
to be
time.
back. Let
Okay,
me know
and
what you're
there was
focusing on
actually,
right
if
now.
you actually
Let's take
ask
some
me, there was
inspiration, please. And guys, I've
what
got
do you call
so
it,
much to show you today, okay? Let's have a
Google
look.
Python
Guys,
notes
check
video
this out,
lectures.
right? So
You
this
can just
is
see this within
WhatsApp
the 2 hours
2.0,
they are
right?
finishing
Now,
all the
WhatsApp
Python.
2.0
Okay, but
is
they are going into
very
very
different to
advanced
any
way.
build that I've
Okay,
ever
so I
previously
cannot
shared.
understand it, anyone
They
will
are
be able
covering
to understand it
Next.js,
in the very first
Node.js. Oh
time.
wow, look
For
at
the
this.
first time
Watching
beginners,
this
it
around the
was too
world.
much
This is
for me.
insane. This is
Okay,
incredible, guys.
but yes,
Welcome
later
to
actually I
everywhere.
solved it.
Welcome
I
to
just
Hidden
saw
International,
everything. They were
guys.
just going into
Love
the
and
very
appreciate all of you for tuning in,
hi-fi language
right?
and
So
things.
guys,
So it's
today
not
we
like
are
that people
building
cannot
WhatsApp
finish the
2.0
language
with
in 2 to 3 hours.
Next.js,
They
okay?
can finish
Now
it
let's go
everything.
ahead
But
and
for
quickly
the
demo
people
this app. So
who
you
know
go
the
ahead
little
to the
bit detail
sidebar
before,
and you can pretty much
for the
navigate to your
beginners,
chats,
there is
and here
not
you can see when we
like, it
built
is
this app,
like I will not say
immediately
directly
the
going
chat
to the video
exploded
lectures.
because it's being
Go
written
step by
in a
step,
server
read
included
the
within the app,
chapter,
right? So
copy
I'll
paste
explain
the
to you guys
code and
quickly.
execute
If
it.
you're new to this,
So
I'll
that
explain
what
it
they
for
are
you.
trying
But
to
let's talk
say,
about this,
you are
right?
seeing the
We need to jump on
visualization
here.
and
If I say what's
understanding
up,
it with
Papa
their
Fam,
explanation, what is
what's up,
actually
Papa
happening in
Fam?
the code.
Hit enter,
Okay.
boom,
Okay,
scrolls down.
first you actually have to
Everything
see
will
the
be
more code
explained
before
here. We
writing it.
even have
Only then you
host
will
as
learn the
itself, right?
language.
So Jay is live right
Actually, the
now.
main
Let
problem
me
is
know if
when
you guys
I'm
can see him.
executing the
And
code,
he's ready for
but
this. Look at that, guys. Look at that. He just
error
sent in a message and it says live
error happened.
active,
But
and he said how
on
updates
that
real
time,
time. So
couldn't
this is
able to
insane, guys.
find
This is
where
really,
I got
really
the error.
insane stuff. Now to top
You
it
can
off,
have
guys,
to
we have
show me
the quick
the
sign in
notebooks
with
where you are getting the
Sanjay over
errors.
here. And
Okay,
guys, I'm
next
going to show you
from the
something
next class,
really
I will
cool today.
definitely show
Just
you.
wait
Yeah,
one
sure.
second, okay? So let's go ahead, log into the
Five
Papa
minutes of the
React
class, I can
account,
just check
and
it out
boom,
and
there
do
you
that.
go.
So
Let's go
before
ahead
or
and
at
log
the
in.
last?
So this is
At the
incredible,
last
guys.
only,
This is
not
one of our
before.
students, Avish, over
Okay.
here, and he's live
Even in the,
right
if
now.
it
What's
is
up,
like
Avish?
only like
Good to see
one
you, man.
notebook, I
So
can
yeah,
just show it in the
this is
starting only
incredible
for,
stuff, right?
because
So
so
if you're
other people
excited
also
for this
understand
day
it with
here,
the same error,
get ready, right? You're gonna
right?
need some coffee. Now, guys, today I am
Okay, I will
so
end the
excited
class.
because
Let's
the
meet
Papa
tomorrow.
Fam is
Okay,
growing to the
guys.
extent where we now have
Thank you.
our first ever sponsorship, right? So today's video, guys, is sponsored by the guys over at Hostinger. Now, Hostinger is an incredible platform, and I'm going to show you guys how we can go ahead, build a crazy app like WhatsApp 2.0, and then host it on your very own domain. So if you guys want to go ahead and check out the app early, go ahead and check out sunnysanga.com, right? So you can feel free to spread that in the comments right now. It's sunnysanga.com. And how did I do this, right? I did it with Hostinger. Now I'm going to quickly give you guys an introduction into Hostinger. Your boy Papa React also sorted you guys out with a lovely little coupon code. So I'm going to give you guys a great little discount over there, right? So what is Hostinger? Amazing platform where you can have website building, hosting, everything included, email management, VPS servers, and all that good stuff, right? Now, let's talk about some of the things that Hostinger offers, right? They have the price to quality that these guys give is incredible, right? Their plans are so dirt cheap, right? So if you've ever wanted your own cool little domain name like sunnysanga.com, then go ahead and check it out, right? Like you guys can go ahead and build this today, and I'm going to show you how to do all of it. And then I want you guys to drop it in the comments where you deploy to, right? So it could be like j.com, www.j.com, or something like that, right? Whatever you guys deploy to. But let's talk about it. They have extremely fast servers, 99.9% uptime guarantee. They're optimized for WordPress. So if you guys are WordPress fans, let me know, right? And guys, they have an amazing chat and support system, right? So it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And me and Jay ran into some problems when we were trying to deploy this app, but we managed to overcome it with the amazing team over at Hostinger, right? It has the easiest control panel I've used when it comes to a hosting platform, and I'm going to show you how to use it today. And if you're worried about security, they give you a free SSL certificate, which saves you quite a lot of money, to be honest, right? So if you want to get involved, have your own domain, and keep up with me in today's build, go ahead, affiliate link in the description. Go ahead, check out out the Hostinger link. Use code Sunny at checkout for 7% off your annual plan. Right, so you can get 7% off your annual plan, and it's already cheap as hell, right? And you get 30 days money back guarantee. So I really want to see everyone go ahead and have their own domain names. That would be so cool, right? It would be so cool. And you guys, you know, if you go ahead and use the code Sunny, you're going to support the channel. It's an affiliate link. It's going to help the channel grow because, you know, this is how I can keep on bringing you guys the content. And just so you know, I did go out and learn Next.js just to bring it to you guys. So we're going to do this together, right? We're going to go ahead and learn a bunch of stuff together. Like I said, go ahead and check out sunnysanga.com. And also, if you want to learn how to do that, link in the description for hosting, all right? Now, guys, are you ready? Let's jump into this build. I have another surprise, but we're going to jump into that in a second. All right, let's go ahead and start today's build, okay? So what are we building today's build with? We're building it with Next.js. Now, Next.js is absolutely game changer for React, right? It introduces server-side rendering, TypeScript out of the box, smart bundling, root prefetching. Now, what does root prefetching mean? Basically, we don't need React Router anymore. It does it in a very clever way, and it's no configuration required, right? This stuff works out of the box, and it is so easy to run with, okay? So, like, honestly, if you guys don't believe me or you're wondering why are we using Next.js, because I got that question on the Instagram post and I got that throughout the comments. So if you're wondering why we're going to use it, just check out a bunch of these reasons, right? Image optimization, internationalization, and also in the Papa Fam recently we covered this in the coaching course, so really good stuff. And it's a hybrid between server-side rendered pages on your website and static site generated pages, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and start off our first Next.js app, okay? So all you guys need to do to go ahead and get started is click the get started or start learning button, go ahead and click setup, right? And again, we're using MPX here, so it's very simple to go ahead and use this, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and open up our terminal over here, pop this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. And I'm gonna go into my folder wherever I have my build. So I have my builds over in this folder, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, instead of doing MPX create React app, now we're gonna be doing MPX create next app. Okay, so pretty easy to go ahead and set that up. Create next app, and then we're going to go ahead and call it whatever we want to call it. So in our case, we're going to call it WhatsApp 2, right? Let's call it WhatsApp 2. That's easy, right? So let's go ahead and do that, WhatsApp 2, and it will go ahead and set up our first Next.js app, right? Now, in the meantime, if you're excited for this, let me know. Now, that was blazing fast, right? So it should be really quick for you as well. Right now, what we want to do is cd into that directory. So cd WhatsApp 2, and then we're going to go ahead and type in code dot. Right now, code dot is going to open up VS Code in the correct place. Right, so we want to get VS Code opened up. So I can close that terminal now, and then we can go ahead and full screen our VS Code. Right, so VS Code is what we're going to be using for today's build, and obviously we're all very familiar with VS Code, so it should be a breeze for you guys getting used to this. Okay. Now, this is recorded. Everything is going to be, you know, I'm live right now, but it's all going to be posted up online afterwards. I want you to really enjoy this piece of content right now. Smash that like button if you're excited for today's build. And yeah, we're going to get straight into this, guys. And I really have something awesome to show you guys. So if you have watched any of my builds before, you'll know I'm quite a fan of AI code completion, right? AI code completion, it allows me to code super quick. Right, so previously I've been using something like Kite or something like that, but I came across one which just changed the game for me, right? And even on the free tier, I killed it with it, right? It literally was completing my code before I even typed it out, and it was just making my whole experience easier. So I know that a lot of you struggle to keep up with me on these builds, so I really recommend you and try this out and get started with it, okay? So I'm going to introduce you guys over to Tab9. Now, Tab9, absolute amazing platform, okay? Now basically what it is, right, all it does is it basically does code completion for us, but they've mastered it over there, right? So if you want to get started with Tab9, what you want to do, and I see a bunch of you already know what this is, right? Go ahead into the extensions, type in Tab9, and if you're wondering why I'm telling you this, it's going to help you keep up with me on today's build, okay? Because it's going to be quite intense. So you can see 1.6 million people use Tab9. It is incredible, right? And I'm not going to put something in front of you that I myself don't support. So this, guys, take it from your boy Papa Reactor. This is good stuff, okay? It is an AI auto completion engine, okay? Now it supports all modern programming languages. So whether it's Python, JavaScript, Node.js, React, TypeScript, everything, it's going to go ahead and help you to code a lot faster in it, right? Now it has a free forever basic plan, so that is incredible. So I recommend everyone go ahead, sign up to it. There's a link in the description right now where you can do it. It's the first link in the description. Sign up to it. Let me know in the comments saying I signed up, right? It's going to be a lot easier for you to follow me if you do this, because trust me, it will just help you type a lot faster and get up to speed with me. Now, the pro plan, they did send me out a pro plan to go ahead and give a try, and I have been loving it so far. It actually introduces the GPU into the code completion, and it introduces cloud computing, which is pretty damn cool, right? So you're going to get cloud completion when you're doing this. Now, do any of you know what GP2 is? Because GP2 is what they're using behind here, right? So it's actually a very clever AI model that they're using to process our natural text into a code completed outcome, right? So in terms of privacy, if you're worried about, oh my God, I don't want my code to be in the cloud and all that stuff, it's encrypted both ways, so don't worry about it. They use deep learning, so the more you use this, the more it's gonna improve. And if you guys don't believe me, then, you know, go ahead and just watch the video. Watch the video and see how fast we're going to be doing this. Now I'm going to quickly check out some of these comments. We got Marty says, I missed you, man. We got Devroy says, I already signed up. Lab says, keep it up, Sonny. What's up, guys? Good to see everyone here. We already have nearly 400 people watching, which is incredible. Nearly 500 likes. I really want to get this video just through the roof because I have been excited for this one. And this one is intense. So get your coffee, get your tab 9 set up. And guys, as always, use that link in the description. It's an affiliate link. It will support the channel. It will help me keep on bringing this value, okay? So we're going to have a lot of fun today, right? We've got loads of different tools. We've got Next.js. We have Hostinger for domain names. We have Tab 9 for auto completion, which is using AI. Man, I'm excited, guys. I am damn excited, okay? So first thing we need to do is understand Next.js, right? How do I even get started with this thing, right? So watching from South Africa, what's up, dude? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the public folder, not public, sorry, into the pages folder. Now, we don't need React Router when we're using this, right? So instead, what we actually do here is the router is embedded in our file structure. So depending on how we basically go ahead and determine our folders, that will determine the routes that we're going to see. So in this case, the first / or home route that we're going to see is just index.js. Trust me, it makes it a lot easier than you think. So this is some boilerplate sort of code that they give us. So I'm going to go ahead and press Command J, pull this up right now, and then we're going to go ahead and do this, okay? So let me go. And I can see a lot of you guys are actually you've already gone ahead and signed up. That's incredible stuff, guys. So sign up to both Tab 9 and Hostinger, incredible platforms. Honestly, I wouldn't put it in front of you unless I really believed in this stuff. So it's really cool stuff to work with, guys. Now, first thing we're going to do is type in yarn dev, okay? Now, it's not npm start, right? Or npm, like that. I'm doing yarn dev because we're using Next.js. So I'm going to type in yarn dev, and this will go ahead and start a server on localhost 3000, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click this link, open it up for me, right? And then what we're going to see, nice. And guys, if I didn't mention it before, once we build this incredibly powerful app, it's going to get deployed using Vercel. Okay, so if you've been wanting to go ahead and try out Vercel, definitely check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's actually it's kind of like a CI pipeline. When you push your code to GitHub, it goes ahead and does a deployment for you. So this is going to be a hell of a lot of fun, okay? So guys, let's go ahead, and this is the boilerplate. Now, not only does this give you a great place to go ahead and check out the documentation, learn some examples, and how to deploy your app with Vercel, okay? But it's going to go ahead and give you somewhere to start off. So you're not entirely from the beginning, all right? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and press Command J to hide my terminal. So you see the server is running here, right? So what we're going to see here is that the first thing that we must do is this new head component. Right, the head component is actually really cool because if I go ahead and pop my code on the right, left, and then I pop my website on the right, you can see typically at the top right, we usually just see create React app, create next app. What if I want that to be actually contextual, right? I actually want that to mean something now. I don't want it just to have, a typical boring, scenario. I want it to actually be something which is a lot nicer and easier to look at. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in this example, just to show you, let's go ahead and say WhatsApp 2.0, WhatsApp 2.0, and save, right? Now you can see, look at that, it changes the head, right? So what's really cool here is in Next.js, you get this nice little head component where you can put anything that you want inside the head over here, right? Now, this is going to be a lot easier than doing, you know, things like helmet.js or something like that. Instead, you just have a already ready to use component where anything we want in the inside of the head can be dynamically updated. Yes, I said dynamically because we're inside a component. We can go ahead and use our props or whatever it is to go ahead and change these values. So that's really powerful. Even the link can be changed based on the route that we're in. So really, really cool stuff, right? So with that said, what we're going to do is we're going to do our little cleanup process to get started off, guys. We're going to go ahead and firstly delete the main, right? So everything inside this main bracket and the footer, I'm going to go ahead and remove. I'm going to pop a H1 which says, let's build WhatsApp 2.0. Right, and let's get the music up a little bit, guys. Let's get the energy up. We just broke 500 likes, which is incredible. Let's keep going, guys. Navin says you are fabulous, and putting a lot of effort in for us. Thank you so much. Co-design says, can you please explain why yarn dev? Right, yarn dev allows us to start up the server in a development sort of way, right? So yarn start isn't going to be the one that we're looking for here. Yarn dev gives us fast reloading, fast refresh, and a lot more of that side of things. Now we will be, remember, we're using Next, right? Not just React, right? So Next is sitting on top of React as a framework, and then it basically supercharges React for us, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. Right, so now what we're gonna do is you'll also notice that they like to use npm module or CSS modules, right? So CSS modules are a different way of writing CSS. You can't do our typical approach here, but instead, guys, I'm gonna be doing styled components, right? So how many of you, let me know in the comment section right now, how many of you guys like styled components? So I'm going to go over to styled components right here, right? So let's go over to styledcomponents.com and I'll show you guys how to go ahead and set this up. It's super easy to get running with styled components. Styled components, we've used them in a bunch of places. If you don't know where it's used right now, anyone recognize any of these companies? Pretty damn good, right? It's very, very powerful sort of way of styling our components. So to install it, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do a yarn add styled components. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here, pop open a second terminal, and I'm just going to go ahead and say yarn add styled components, and I'm going to install it. This will go ahead and pop it into my project, okay? We have 420 people watching. What's up, Papa Fam? I just love how we're growing, man. We're growing every single day. If you're not already a part of the Papa Fam, go ahead and check it out, papareact.com. You know, there's a link in the description. And again, if you want access to this code, it's going to be uploaded to the Papa GitHub repo straight after this session, okay? So link for that is also in the description. Make sure you check it out. Support the channel, right? And also, you'll get all the code that we're going to build today, right? So what we're going to do is that's successfully installed. So the next step that we want to go ahead and naturally do is use it, right? But there is a little additional step. In fact, it's actually gone, right? We don't actually need to do that anymore, right? So we don't need to worry about that. But we've installed it, so it's very easy to use. And I'll show you how we can use a styled component very, very shortly. So what we're going to do right now is, like I said before, index.js points towards, let's go to our app, points towards our home directory, okay? So if I wanted to go ahead and let's say have a /chat, right? Sort of page, right? So if I wanted it to be /chat, how do I do that, right? How do I get it working? So it's very simple, actually. All I need to do, hey, thank you so much, Samit, for that $5 donation. My 9 to 5 job hasn't limited my learning curve. All thanks to you. Cheers, Papa Fam. Dude, I love you and appreciate you. Thank you so much for kicking things off with the donations. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that hugely, right? Yeah, a lot of you OGs are going to know who Sumit is, right? He's actually killing it. 6-figure job right now. Absolutely incredible stuff, right? So what we're going to see now is we're going to go ahead and create a page called, and I'm going to call that chat.js, right? Now, if you notice, chat.js is simply a React functional component, right? So this is a functional component. And if I go ahead and put in a H1 saying, oh, let's just go ahead and pop in a H1 and is the chat page and hit save. Now, if I go to /chat, right? And I don't want to do any autocomplete here. So /chat, enter, you guys can see, look, this is the chat page. So it's that easy to have your pages routing inside of Next.js, right? So out of the box, it is that simple, which is incredible, right? Like we have to do no React router. We have to do no sort of stuff like that. It just works out of the box, right? So this is very, very powerful stuff. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. We're almost at 600. Can we break 600, guys? I think we can. I really think we can at this point. All right, let me go ahead and pop open some music. Let's go ahead and do this. right? Got some new stuff right now, right? And again, I can share the Papa Fam playlist as well, which is awesome. Okay. So we're not too interested with the chat page right now, right? We're going to start with the home page. And the first thing we need to do, okay, is I'm going to go ahead and actually build a sidebar, right? I'm going to build a sidebar and we're going to start getting that looking a bit nice, right? So the sidebar that we're going to be building is this sidebar right here. Okay, so I want to build this sidebar first. And you can see what we've gone for here is a very flat design, right? Which is very modern. Right, we're going to be using Material UI. You guys are very familiar with Material UI, and so it's going to be a lot of fun to be doing that. What's up, Pedro? Hey, we got the Papa Fam in the house. If you're inside the Papa Fam community right now with Zero to Full Stack Hero, let everyone know in the comments, right? You guys are actual OGs. Oh, we have Leonie with that €5.50 donation. Hey, Sunny, thanks for your Netflix clone tutorials. I build my own Netflix clone with my design, gets the movies from my NAS and the API. I got an A. Incredible stuff, dude. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're here to stay. Hey, my beautiful girlfriend is in the house too. Hey, Sunny, how's it going, Mervan? Right, so let's carry on, guys. You can see, oh, look at that. Athava's actually jumped in as well. Look at that. Nice. Now, the way that this chat works is we do have one-to-one chat functionality, right? So you can go ahead and start a new chat, and let's just go ahead and say somebody like sunny@gmail.com. So obviously this is, I don't know who this is, because that's not me. Right, and then I can click it and you can see it would actually start a conversation with this person, right? And then when they sign in, it will populate their details and their last active will become known and we can kind of push forward on that front, right? So this is going to be a lot of fun to go ahead and set all of this up because you guys were asking for it. You guys were asking for one-to-one support. So your boy came through and we're going to be doing it. First thing we need to do is build the sidebar component. So again, you guys have always asked me, right, Sunny, let's have some kind of folder structure, okay? So again, I'm listening to you guys. I'm always, trying to do what's right. So let's go ahead and add in a folder called components, okay? So the components are gonna be for any reusable aspect of our app, okay? So this is gonna be really, really quite a powerful sort of structure that we're gonna put in place. And inside of here, I'm gonna create a file called sidebar.js. Okay. Now, interesting to know, if it's a component, we necessarily, we like to keep the convention of uppercase S, but inside the pages, because these are basically our roots, right? So /chat.js, this would just be /. Here, we have to actually keep them lowercase, right? But in the components, we can keep them uppercase. Rivant, thank you so much for that donation. Decided to learn React a couple of months ago. Magically, I was recommending your content by YouTube. Lots of learning, and 8 clones later, here I am watching you live for the first time. Thank you, Rivant, and welcome to the Papa Fam, dude. Incredible to have you here. We just broke 600 likes. I love you guys. Really, really appreciate you guys. This is blowing up. I think we're going to break 1,000 today. Let's keep going, all right? This is incredible, honestly. Wow. Right, so for the sidebar, I'm going to do _RFCE, and the underscore gets rid of the new import React from React. We don't actually need that anymore, in case you didn't know. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and we have our nice little sidebar, okay? And then what I want to first have is we're going to basically split this up. So let's think about this right now, right? Right here, we have a few different parts of this, right? We have the header over here, right? So this little sort of header over here. Then we have the search bar. Okay, so the search bar is this section over here, right? And then we have like this little chat for, creating a new chat. And then we have the list of chat elements, okay? And then we have this whole separate component. But this right here is what we're building right now because this is the sidebar component. And we're going to be doing it with Material UI, style components, and Firebase. Okay, so it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Junie Cortez says, Sunny, you're the GOAT. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Almost at 500 people watching live. This is incredible, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create our first style component, right? So style component is very simple, right? Don't get freaked out if you don't understand what's going on with style components. It will make sense. And like all of this stuff, it just takes time and practice, right? So let's go ahead and see how we do it for the first time. What you want to do is you want to say const, and the convention I like to use, and you can see tab 9 coming in clutch already, trying to guess what I'm trying to do. So here we can say container equals, and you can see, look, it's already started to autocomplete. And here I'm going to say styled dot, right? And then you can see you can do it in many different ways. In this case, I'm going to do styled dot div, okay? And then what this will do is you have backticks, right? Now the backticks are basically where we put in the CSS for this component, right? So this sort of styled component. So this is typically going to replace any CSS that we have. And then all I need to do is this is a styled div, right? So in this case, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop these so that these are now containers. So this will translate to a div with the styles that I put inside of here. Okay, so it's pretty much very simple when you think of it like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this right now, go over to my, let's go ahead to our index, and I'm actually going to delete that chat.js because we don't actually need that anymore, right? And inside of my chat, what I'm going to do is instead of let's build WhatsApp 2.0, I'm just going to render my sidebar so that way we can start to see it in action. Okay, so we've got the sidebar over here, perfect, right? And I'm going to hit save, right? Nice. And then what we're going to do is it says styled is not defined. Okay, so what we're going to do over here is I'm going to go to the function and I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to go ahead and import styled from styled components. So here you can see import styled from styled components. If I hit save on that, we should see a blank screen, which is correct at the moment, right? If I put in H1 here saying sidebar, we should see a sidebar, perfect, right? Now you can see everything is centered, right? We don't want it to be centered out of the box. So I'm going to go back to my index and here we have a div surrounding everything, okay? Now I don't want any pre-styling before this, right? So instead, what I'm going to do is I can just simply get rid of this class name and then we should see, you know, very empty sort of styling from the basic get-go. Now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the styles over here and you can clean up the files over here and get rid of, in this case, we don't need home.module.css. In the case of global, I'm going to keep it as it is, okay? Now, what we're going to do is here we can see our sidebar being rendered, okay? And then what we're going to do is actually go ahead and start to build this one out. So the first thing I want to do is build that beautiful little header that we were talking about earlier, right? So this little header section over here. Now for the header, again, you're going to get a little refresher on, you know, Flexbox and things like that. For those of you asking if it's responsive to a degree, right? We're going to fit in as much as we can do inside of this tutorial. And then we're going to go ahead and, you know, you can upgrade it as part of your homework to make it fully mobile responsive and add in media queries if you want to, okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create a header section. What I like about style components is let's go ahead and say I want to create a header component, right? What I can do is I can easily say const header equals styled, and you see tab 9 coming in clutch with the autocomplete, right? Style div, right? And then over here, what I can do is I can go ahead and get rid of this. And I can just say, okay, let's target the header. And also, you can see now that it's very easy to read our code, right? There's a container, there is a header, right? So this is a lot simpler to use and it's really, really cool, right? Right, so hey, Jeannie Cortez says, say less, I'm signing up right now. Incredible stuff, guys. If you sign up right now, I will literally shout you out, right? So that's incredible stuff. And what they're talking about, 0 to full stack here, our link is in the description if you want to join us, right? So we have coaching calls, everything. Now, this stuff happens weekly, okay? So it's really, really intense. It's really, really fun, right? So at the top, we have the header. Now, inside the header, I need the avatar, I need all of these beautiful things. Now these come from Material UI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to materialui.com and I'm going to go install this. And we've done this a few times in previous builds, but I'm going to show you as it's from scratch every time. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in yarn add material UI. Okay, yarn add material UI. There we go. And then you can see my face is blocking it. So you can see Material UI core. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back to Material UI, type in icons in the search field, and then we're going to go ahead and go here. Oh, nice. Thank you so much, Revant P. Shankar. On behalf of me and everyone else, thank you for such incredible content. You're changing lives for the good. More power to you. Keep it going, Sunny. Thank you so much, Revant. And guys, whether it's a donation, whether it's a smashing that thumbs up button, just spread the love, spread this content and help people learn more and be better every single day. That is the mission of the Papa Fam, and you know, we're just going to keep it going, right? So we need to now install the icon set because we're going to be using these icons as well. So I'm actually going to just copy the yarn command. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to type in yarn add material UI icons, right? So that's going to go ahead and do that installation for us, right? So let's go ahead and pop this open right now, and there we go. Okay, so you know me, guys, I'm always trying to learn, stretch my limits so that way you guys benefit, because I will learn something, digest it, and then spit it back out in the simplest way possible, and it takes a lot of effort. So I really do appreciate the love and, you know, everyone helping out in sharing this out. Okay, so now that we're done there, I'm going to go ahead and carry on with the build. So we have the header up and running, okay? So what I'm going to do is I need an avatar. Whoa, Vivid Elites, another donation, $5. Sonny, I built 60 of your clones. I'm aiming at 9+ good projects for applying to jobs when I move out of my small town in a few months. Thank you. Dude, thank you for that lovely donation, and keep it up with the content, keep it up with building those clones, right? So I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Right. So in the header, I need an avatar, right? Now I want to style this avatar. So I kind of want to combine my avatar with styled components. Now, how do I do that? Can I do that, right? Yes. The question is, it's actually very easy. So I'm going to go here and say const user avatar. And this is going to be equals styled. And rather than a styled div or, like something like that, if I only use my own custom component, I put a parentheses and then I'll pop in the avatar, right? So in this case, it's going to be an avatar, and I'm going to go ahead and import this from Material UI core. Okay. So now we say styled avatar, and then I do the backticks. Right now, when I'm typing in here, right, you might be wondering, yours doesn't give you syntax highlighting for styled components. To fix that, go over to the extensions over here after you've installed tab 9. Make sure you install tab 9, and then go down and you want to install this package, styled components. No, it's not this one. Sorry, VS Code styled components. This will give you syntax highlighting for when you're using styled components, okay? If you don't do this, you're not going to get all the fancy colors and everything like that. And it can be a little bit tricky when you're trying to get your autocomplete to work with you, right? So make sure you do that. It will save you a bunch of headaches, okay? And Avni says, style components in the next month, is saying next as well. Yeah, hopefully, guys. Hopefully we can get them. Firebase, man. Oh my God. Just somebody reach out to Firebase. Get them to sponsor us, right? So we got the user avatar. So if I want to go ahead and use this, I just say user avatar. Right, user avatar, and then it's a self-closing component, and then I can go ahead and save. Now, if I go ahead and check out our app over here, and then let's go ahead and refresh. Now you can see we've got a lovely avatar at the top here. Now, what's really cool about this, just to prove to you guys that it actually adds the styles over here. If I had a margin of 10 pixels on top of this right now and save, you can see, look at that, we get the styles being applied to the component over here, which is incredible, right? Really, really nice stuff. Like, it's a very simple way of working when you get used to style components. The even better part of this is that if you have props, you can feed them into your component as well, okay? Ajit Singh says, I got a job of 70K because of you, man. Thank you. Dude, that's incredible, man. Well done. 450 people watching, almost at 700 likes already, and we just started this video. God damn, like 30 minutes ago. Wow. Let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. So the user avatar is here, right? Now, for now, I don't really care about the source. So I'm going to leave it as this, like, stock image. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see it. The next thing I want to do is I want to have some icons, right? So obviously over here I have icon containers, right? So how do I go ahead and do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a div to surround it, right? Icons container. And then what I'm going to do is I need to just create that icons container. So I'm going to copy the name, go down here and say const icons container equals a styled div. Okay, and then I'm going to do the backticks. And now we've got our styled div that is ready to go. So inside of our style in our icons container, and these are basically going to replace the divs, right? They're just styled versions of them. Now, yes, you can go ahead and move this into a separate file to clean up your code, right? So just like we have an external CSS file, you can do the same thing with this, right? And it's going to work. It's going to be nice to use, all right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pull in a chat icon and a more vertical. What's up, Harpreet? Good to see you, man. Hey, we got the family in the house. Right, so now I'm going to go ahead, the literal family. Thank you, Sanu, for the donation. This is awesome. Let's go. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in the chat icon, and I also want the more vertical icon. Now, if you always wondered, Sunny, how the hell do you get your icons, right? I go to Material UI, type in icons in the top. I go down here. You can search the full list of these icons over here, and then I pretty much just search it, right? So in this case, if I want dots, you can see I get the more vertical icon. I click it, and that's how I get this line of code, right? So it's very simple stuff. You can go ahead and extend your apps by doing that simple approach, right? It's a lot easier than, grabbing pictures from all over the place. Kaiser says the boss is back. What's up, dude? Right. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the two icons, okay? So I've got the chat icon, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop in the more vertical icon, okay? So in this case, I'm going to do more vert icon. So I'm just going to, I'm lazy. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to pop this here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, if I go back to my application, you guys can see we get those beautiful looking icons ready to go. Okay. Now I want these to be clickable buttons. Okay. The Joker is here. He says, you're awesome, Sunny. Dude, you're awesome for turning up. Thank you so much. All right. Now check this out. So I want it to be clickable. I want this like really nice googly ripple effect. Right. So how do I get that? So it's very simple actually. All you need to do is type in icon button. Okay, and you can see Material UI will pop up as an autocomplete, and we simply pull it in from Material UI Core. Okay, now this is very good because what you can do here is you can simply enclose your chat icon inside of icon button as a child component. And what this does is it makes it a button, which is super easy to do, right? That didn't take a lot of effort. And now you can see the difference between this button and this button, right? So we're going to do the same thing again. And we're going to go ahead and pop this here. And this is definitely one that I recommend everyone gets on their portfolio. You can see tab 9 coming in clutch every time. Guys, let me know again, how many of you went ahead and downloaded tab 9 in the description, right? So make sure you're using it. If you're not using it, you're slowing yourself down, right? It's like it literally boosted my production speed so much, right? And also hosting us, sign up, right? Let's carry on. Right, so we've got the icons pretty much set up right now, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and style the header section, right? So I wanna style this header section first so that we can get it looking just as we need it, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my header over here, and it's very, it's very like explicit of what's going on, right? It's very clear as what's happening. So here, if I type in display flex, and then you also get a fast refresh, which is very nice. You see, as we do it, we're gonna see updates. Right, this is Next.js at its finest. It's gonna really work nice. Celeb says install tab 9. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, dude. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this a position sticky because I'm gonna actually be using this later on. When say if the list gets into an overflow state, for example, like here, if I go ahead and make this a bit smaller, right? I want the top to stick, right? So that's where we're applying that sticky element, right? So that's what we're doing. And also, guys, what's up? I can see everyone dropping in. Right, somebody says, Ravant, nice donation. He says, can you please show us how to use media queries today on the next build? Would love to learn it. Yes, of course. I will do that in the next build. I can show you guys how to do it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and chuck in a top of 0. Then I'm going to type in a background color of white, right? Because when we have that over scroll, it's going to go ahead and be an important factor. Then I'm going to drop a Z index of 1, so that way it's on top of everything else when we get that overflow, right? So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do justify content, right? I want this to space itself out. I don't want it to be next to each other. And right now you can see it's massively spacing itself out. And this is because we only have the sidebar on there. And this is a part of, this is actually a very important part. I'm going to go ahead and sort of zoom in at this point. Right, this is a part of doing responsive design. So this is actually my entire sidebar. But once we combine it with the other components, it will react and be responsive to the components that it sits around, right? So if that's really cool, smash that thumbs up button. Right, so I think we're almost at 700. So I think we can do this, guys. Just go ahead, get me to 700. Let's keep going, right? So we've got the space between happening. And then the next thing I want to do is align the items centrally. And you can see, look at that. That's a prime example of where tab 9 comes in, right? So again, if I do align items, and then if I go ahead and type in center, you see tab 9 is there to auto-complete it for me, right? Next thing I'm gonna do is do a padding, and this padding is gonna be 15 pixels. I'm gonna do a height of 80 pixels because this will help us with our styling issues later. And then I'm gonna put a border bottom, which is 1 pixel solid white smoke, right? And if you're an OG, you will know that I love white smoke, right? White smoke is such a subtle color. You guys can see that. If you can't see it, then just zoom in a little bit. Right, 725 likes. Oh wow, mine's frozen on my side. Okay, that's incredible. Wow, I didn't know that. Damn, I'm gonna refresh mine and see how that turns out. But that's incredible. Wow, we're at 725 likes. Looks like Sunny's on 2 times speed. You know how we do it, guys. We step up, we learn more, which means that we have to perform at a higher level. Okay, 735 now. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Wow, let's go. Right, so at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and style out the user avatar, right? So the user avatar is I want to go ahead and make this a little bit kind of, I want to add some styles to this. I want to firstly say when I hover over it, I want it to kind of, be a cursor. So I want it to be say cursor, pointer, and hit save, right? So if I go ahead and sort of, oops, what happened here? If I go ahead and hit save on this, let's see. Well, there we go. What's happened here? Right, there we go. Now, if you see when I hover over this, I get the nice little cursor pointer, right? Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to apply a hover effect. Now, what's really cool about style components is if I do a colon hover, it applies it on that sort of, when you do that action. When you hover over it, it will apply those styles. What the hell just happened, guys? We just hit 760 likes from 700 in like 2 seconds. Like, wow, this is crazy. Right, so at this point I'm going to do an opacity, and this is a little trick that I like. Obviously it's kind of, it's up to you guys if you want to do it, but at this point I'm going to say opacity 0.8, okay? and then this will do the following, right? So that looks very nice at this point. Everything is doing everything as we wanted it to. So if I go ahead and hover, see, we get a nice little effect, okay? And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and style out the, let's figure this one out. Let's style out the, let's get the next bit done. So we actually want to get the search done, right? So the search is this one here. So the search in the chats. And now this one is actually a bit easier than we would think, right? Especially when we're using style components. And the way we do it is outside of the header, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, I'm going to go ahead and type in search, right? And this is going to be my search container, okay? Now make sure that you don't accidentally do like an auto import there, because it's very easy to make that mistake. But I'm going to do a const search, and you can just see, like, look how quick that is with tab 9, right? So I've got my search container up and running at this point. Then I also need the search icon, which is this beautiful icon over here. So in order to get that, I just go ahead and say search icon, okay? Oops, search icon, like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop in. I need to import this, right? So in order to import this one, it's going to be this line of code over here, right? So we're going to need the search icon like so, right? So I'm going to hit save on that. And then on our code, we should be able to see the little search icon pop up, okay? So this is going to be really clean if it works like that. How does it feel to be God level of web dev? Thank you so much. But guys, I always look at it as I'm a beginner and I can learn and improve on my skills. Be humble always, okay? Like I always walk into a room thinking I can learn something new today. I never walk in, I never call myself an expert, okay? I mean, like if you've heard me say it, I don't mean it, right? I'm always like, you know, I'm always trying to focus on improving. So I want you guys to do the same thing, right? So let's go ahead and pop in the search input, right? Now you're probably wondering, that's not a component, Sonny. Like, I'm going to create one, guys. It's going to be a search input, and this one is going to be a styled. So you just go ahead and say const search input. It's not going to be a div. It's going to be a styled input, and that's how you change the input types for native HTML elements, right? As soon as I hit save, there you go. Boom, we get a styled input. So you see, it's actually very easy. Okay, very, very easy to do this stuff. Now, what I want to do at this point is I need a little beautiful placeholder which says search in chats. So that's actually very easy to add. Now, the props and attributes all come through as expected. So if I go ahead and do this, you're still going to get the same ones, okay? The Falcon says it is not live. It is live, dude. This is live right now, right? And then what we want to do is we're going to style this to be the way we want it, okay? So obviously my goal is to make this look like this, where it says search in chats. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my styled component over here, so the search icon. And what I like about this is it's in the same file, so it's actually very clear for you guys to understand what's going on, right? So this is actually very, very simple for you guys to go ahead and understand what's going on. So at this point with the search, I'm going to go ahead and say display flex, right? So display flex. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and say align items centrally. So align items center. And we're also going to do a padding of 5 pixels. Oops, what have I done there? Padding of 5 pixels. And then I'm going to do a border radius, right? A border radius of 2 pixels, right? So 2 pixels over here. And the final thing is, let's go ahead and see that. And that's actually quite small. So I'm going to change this padding to a 20 pixel. And that looks a bit more like what we're trying to get to, okay? So at this point, what I want to do is I want to go to my search input, right? The search input is the next part where we're going to style it out. So if we go over to our search input and we try and find that, firstly, where the hell is that one? Right, so we need, let me just find it. Okay, there we go. Right, so the first thing is when I click it, I don't want this blue outline, right? How do I get rid of that? To get rid of it, we do outline width, right? Outline width, and we're going to do a 0, okay? And then if I click it, now you can see it's no more blue outline. Second thing I want to do is do a border none, okay? So that makes it a lot neater. And then I'm going to do a flex 1 because I want it to use up the entire width of its container, right? So flex 1, boom. Right? Now, if I go ahead and comment out this, you're going to see that it does, in fact, use up the entire width. And then what we can do is to show you that, obviously, that was a very illustrative example. So now if I go ahead and type in, see, it's going to use up the full extent of the page, right? So that's very, very clean and do it. All right. So with this said now, we're going to go ahead and do Next.js is, remember, Next.js, everyone's asking if Next.js is better than React. It's a framework used with React, okay? So it's going to supercharge your apps. It is definitely one of those skills to know about, and you're going to do nothing but benefit by knowing Next.js. So stop being lazy, stop making excuses, learn it, put in the time, and that's why I'm here. Okay, what's up, guys? Legends of Cricket says, hi, Legend. What's up, dude? All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to jump straight back in. and we've done our search section, right? So this is very, very close to what we wanted, right? So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to have a sidebar button, okay? So the sidebar button is going to be the one that is responsible for starting a new chat. Now, how many of you recognize this theme song, right? If you know where this is from, you are a Papa Fam OG, and we're just about to break 800 likes. God damn, thank you so much, guys. Honestly, that's made my day. Like, it makes everything worth it, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and type in sidebar button, right? And I'm going to do a self-closing. Actually, it's not going to be self-closing. It's a button. And then I'm going to do sidebar button over here. And this button is going to say start a new chat. Hey, there we go. The Netflix 5-day intro. That was it, guys. That's how I know you stuck around. That's awesome. So here I'm going to say const sidebar button. And this is going to be a styled button. Okay. And then there we go. Right, so we have the start button up here. Now, as soon as I hit save on this, you can see start a new chat comes in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create the styles applicable for this one. And in order to do that, right, what I'm going to do, and this very interesting learning tip over here, right? Harpreet says WWE. Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was first in WWE. First thing I want to do is do a width of 100%, right? So width of 100% is going to basically go ahead and expand this so it uses up the entire length. The next thing I want to do is I want to make this actually have a border top and bottom. Now, if you notice over here, right, firstly, this is actually, oh, wait a sec. Okay, this is a Material UI button, right? So you're probably wondering, hang on, this is not the same button that we have here. So instead of using a native HTML element, I want to use the Material UI button. So I'm going to just type in button, import that from Material UI, right? So now we have the button from Material UI core. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And look at that. Now we have a Material UI button, right? So as simple as that to do it. The next thing I want to do, the Discord link has expired. Oh, really? Damn. If somebody could go ahead and share it, maybe Jay, if you can go ahead and share a new Discord link, then go ahead and do that. But yeah, our Discord is blowing up right now. We have a new moderator and it's so nice, guys. It's so nice. We have like 4,000 people, 3,000, 4,000 people. It's just crazy. We're growing so quick. Right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in a border top and border bottom. Okay, so this is an interesting learning curve. If I go ahead and add these two styles in, right, so over here, you're probably wondering, whoa, well, suddenly I don't see anything, right? Hey, there we go. Frank's in the house, dropping $10 like just, you know, as Frank does. He says, don't be afraid to learn new stuff. Next.js is very cool. Let's go. Rich Programmer, aka Frank. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you always and glad to have you here, man. All right, so now you can see the border top and bottom actually doesn't, it's basically getting beaten by Material UI specificity or however you say it. Basically, Material UI has priority, okay? Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Even in coaching calls, I'm always like, you know, flocking around, right? Flocking around, right? So here what I'm going to say is a very cool thing in style components. If you do ampersand, 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 and then curly brackets, and then you pop in these ones, right? What it's going to do is it's going to increase the increase the priority, okay, of the rule, right? So it increases the priority of the rule. And now you can see, look at that. We get those beautiful looking lines, okay? So with that done, we're starting to look very, very good, right? At this point, it's starting to look very, very nice. Now, this looks great, okay? The next thing I wanted to do is we will have these chat components. And notice I said components because these are all going to be reusable components which accept a prop, okay? So we will be doing this in just a sec. But instead, what we do now is, as we typically do, is we always mark out we always mark it out before we do it, okay? So this is where the chats, so we just say like list of chats, okay? This list of chats. Right, now, what I need to do is I need like a backend to support this, right? I need a backend to go ahead and support, you know, the storing of these chats and things like that. Now, very interesting thing about today's build, one-to-one messaging can be done in many different ways, right? I have done a very unique way in today's build, which is actually very cool. And you guys are going to learn about the architecture side of it, right? So it's actually going to be a very good tutorial for you if you've been interested in how to do one-to-one messaging, okay? Abir says, hi. Abir, you keep on spamming the same message. Please don't spam it. Thank you. Otherwise, we're going to have to ban, right? But let's go ahead and basically set up Firebase now, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to firebase.google.com, okay? And this is going to be responsible for setting up all of our, you know, everything that's going to be used to power up our application. Okay, so in this case, WhatsApp 2.0. Sign into your Google account, go to the console, and then we need to go ahead and create a console. Okay, so you see I've got a bunch of apps that I've been building, and then what we're going to do here is add a project, and then here I'm going to say WhatsApp 2. Okay, and I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to disable Google Analytics because I'm not too fussed about that. And then it creates the project. Now, Google has an amazing suite of tools known as Firebase, which allows us to have authentication. It allows us to have a real-time Firestore database, which is incredible. It's like a jacked up NoSQL database. So if you're not familiar with NoSQL, this will be a good little refresher for you or learning experience. And yeah, it gives us a bunch of other powerful things, including things like translator extensions, which is incredible. And so we just covered this inside of Zero to Full Stack Hero in a coaching call. Crazy stuff. If you want to see it, join in. We're going to click continue. Now, once we have this, what's up, Ken? Good to see you, man. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to click Firestore database. We need to prepare the database so it's ready to use. So what we're going to do is click create database, start in test mode, and click next. Then we need to select the location. In this case, I'm happy with US. It's central to pretty much everywhere. And then we're going to go ahead and move with it, right? So now what we're going to do is wait for this to go ahead and get set up, right? And then what we're going to do is wait for this. It shouldn't take too long. The next step is to go ahead and actually install Firebase into our project. So while we wait for that to go ahead and do, I'm going to hit Command J, and I'm going to type in yarn add Firebase, okay? This will go ahead and add in Firebase to our dependencies inside of our project. All right, so this goes ahead and does it. Now you can see it says package lock found. This is not what you want, right? In this case, I've combined yarn and npm, which is a big no-no when you're doing development work. So if you ever come into this, right, this problem where you have yarn and npm and you don't know how to fix it, I will show you how to do it right now. Okay, simple. You go over to your files, go to the package lock, and you can see here we shouldn't have both the yarn lock and a package lock. You should have one or the other. This is for npm, this is for yarn. All I'm going to do is simply delete my package lock, so it's going to rely on yarn instead. Okay, that's very easy to do. And then all you need to do is do a yarn, and then it will go ahead and just fix up your packages. Okay, so what we've done is we've installed it into our project. Now we have Cloud Firestore set up and ready to go. So the next step we're going to do is hit up our authentication and set this up. So we're going to click get started. And this is pretty much, you know, it's very simple. There you go. It's done. We're going to be using Google authentication for today. So we're going to click on enable over here. We're going to click on a project support email, which will be the one that you set up the account with. Click save. Now, once we have the sign-in provider done, we can go ahead and proceed to the next step. Okay, so the next step here is we need to click on the cog project settings. Okay, so we have our front end, which is the Next.js app. Then we have Firebase as our powerful backend. Okay, so here I'm going to click on this little button over here, and then I'm going to type in WhatsApp 2, and I'm going to click on register the app. Okay. 840 likes, guys. Let's get to 900. I'm telling you, we can do this. We're gonna pass 1,000. I know it. We're gonna pass 1,000. All right. Click continue to console, and then if we go down here and we click config, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. So I'm gonna click on this little copy icon over here, and then I'm gonna go into my application, pop open my code, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, you know, hide everything at the moment. Go down to where my package JSON is, so that level, and I'm gonna click plus. And I'm going to type in firebase.js. All right, so this is going to be where my Firebase lives, my Firebase config. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say import Firebase from Firebase. Okay, so import Firebase from Firebase. And then what I'm going to do is, and I actually don't need that to be capital. There we go. And I'm going to paste the config that I got from the sort of a Firebase config section inside of the console, right? Then what I'm going to do is I need to set up access to my Firebase database. Now, I love this song, and this always reminds me of the Papa Fam vibes, so we're going to go ahead and turn this down a little bit up. But this one is so nice. It always reminds me of, you know, when we started off the Papa Fam and we kicked things off. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Right. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, then please join the Papa Fam and subscribe. It really means a lot. All right. So let's go ahead and carry on. So I'm going to go ahead and initialize the app. So first thing you want to do, guys, is because we're doing some server-side rendering, we actually want to protect ourselves in case we've already initialized the app, right? So because we have a fast refresh mechanism, then we don't want to go ahead and actually reinitialize the app a second time if we don't need to. The way we do that is simple. We say const app, and we say, okay, if there was no Firebase apps available previously, so if we haven't previously initialized it and we do it this way, then we say, okay, then go ahead and initialize the app. So we say firebase.initialize app, and we use the config above, okay? Now this is called a ternary expression, right? So this will actually go ahead and sort of initialize the app, and we can do else. If the app was already initialized before, then we can just use the app that is already initialized, okay? So we can say firebase.app, right? So when you're doing server-side rendering, you need to be a little bit careful of this step, right? So this is simply what you want to go ahead and pop in, right? So this will basically say, if we've already initialized it, then just use the one that we already initialized with. Otherwise, go ahead and initialize a new one with the config, okay? So that's very nice, very clean. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go down to the bottom and say const db, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and change the coding background. Let's change it to a blue. There we go, nice. All right, so I'm going to say const db equals firebase dot, and it's not the database, we're going to use Firestore. But in this case, I can actually go ahead and use the app that I initialized and say Firestore. Right, so this will give me the Firestore instance. Second thing I want to do is get the authentication instance. So when I come to use the authentication modules, then I'm going to go ahead and say app.auth, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and initialize that, right? So that will go ahead and, you know, set all of that stuff up. And then let me actually go ahead and get you guys a new Discord link, right? Right, let me go ahead and do that. And there you go, my assistant will go ahead and do that. Nice. So we've got the authentication and DB, and the final thing is I'm going to go ahead and get a provider, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get a provider right now. So we're going to say const provider, and then I'm going to say equals new firebase.auth dot, and then we're going to say Google Auth provider, right? And this is a function, so we're going to go ahead and execute it. There we go. So now I've got the three core things. I've got access to the database, I've got access to the authentication, and I've got access to the provider, okay? The final thing I need to do is export it so I can use it outside. So I'm going to say export the DB, the authentication, and the provider modules, okay? This will allow us to have access to our Firebase connections inside of our application, right? So this is all done. We've connected Firebase up from our client to the backend, right? So we're almost at 900 likes. Whoa, guys, let's keep going. That's crazy, right? That's actually crazy. Now, let me know if you're watching from, you know, Twitch and things like that. I can't actually see the Twitch chat saying that. But if you're watching from Twitch, hope you're enjoying the quality, right? The quality is really nice. Finn AM, I hope that answers your question. He goes, is it really live? There you go. It's live, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and go down to our sidebar, right? And what I want to do is I'm actually going to kick things off on the sidebar. And what I want to do is I want to create a chat, right? So when I click on start a new chat, I'm going to go ahead and say on click. So when we have a click that kicks off, I'm going to say create a chat, right? Now, obviously I need to create this function inside of our code. So I'm going to go up before the return block, and I'm going to say const create chat equals, and then this will usually have an event, but in this case, we don't care about it too much, right? So I'm going to go ahead and leave the event, and then we have our, I know, right, dude, Cesar says Sonny, nearly 1K likes in 1 hour. I know, man. It's just crazy, right? Like that, what? You know, this is so cool, right? So what we're going to do is we create the chat, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt the user, because the behavior that I want is I want this kind of behavior where basically I click it and it prompts me, right? So in order to get that, I say const, and then I go ahead and say const input equals, and I can just go ahead and say prompt, right? And then when I do this, I can go ahead and say, thank you, Aparup Busetti, for that lovely donation. I appreciate you, dude. And then here I'm actually going to have a nice little message. I'm going to say, please enter an email address for the user you wish to chat with, right? So, you know, that's how we sound all professional, right? And then I want to protect the sort of, like, you should always go ahead. And JXD says, tuning in during a break from my uni dissertation app, like, keep up the content. You got it, dude. I'm here to stay, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, if there was no input, right, then I want to kind of stop this code from executing, because I want to protect my code from any sort of, you know, unnecessary things, like sort of, you know, any validation errors and things like that. So we don't want to do that, right? The next thing I want to do, okay, is I want to make sure that either that the email is valid, and I also want to check if the chat already exists, okay? So I'm going to be introducing two things here, right? I'm going to be introducing an email validator, which is basically a package which I'm going to pull in, which will tell me if that email is in the correct format or not. The second thing I'm going to do is install React Firebase hooks, right? Which will actually allow us to go ahead and connect to Firebase at the DB level and do all of the connections real time in such an easy fashion, okay? So it's going to be so easy to follow along with this. It's just like, it's game changer level stuff, right? So the first thing I want to do is install email validator. So this is going to be helpful for when I'm going to go ahead and validate that beautiful email. So what we're going to do firstly is I'm going to go ahead and say, let me just go ahead and show you guys. I'm going to say yarn add email validator. Okay, so I'm going to go make that a bit bigger. Yarn add email validator. And this is going to be a very simple installation. Right, there we go. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to hide that one. And we're going to go ahead and import everything and call it the email validator. Right. And then in order to use it, it's very simple actually. We just say if, yeah, and I can say email validator, and it's going to be capital E, dot. And this has a function inside of it called validate over here, right? And all we need to do is pass in our input, and it will basically return a Boolean value. You can see this, right? Boolean value. And that is going to go ahead and tell us if it's a correct email or not, okay? So let's go ahead and do it, right? So we've got email validator, validate input, okay? So that's going to be the first thing we do. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and say, okay, if the email was valid, then I need to push this into the database, okay? Now, how do I push this into the database, right? So the first thing is we actually need to have a login sort of process already set up before this, but I will get into this in a sec, okay? So we're going to pause here for a sec, and we're going to go ahead and say this is where we need to add the chat into the DB, right? And sort of chats collection. Okay, so we're going to pause here for a sec and actually go ahead and we'll carry on with that in just a sec. Now, I need a login, right? I need a login because here I actually need the user who is logged in, right? We're going to need the user who is logged in at this point. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this bit up now. So the first thing I need to do is go into my index, my app.js, right? Now, app.js is an interesting one. So index.js is our homepage. App.js is much like the app.js that we see in React, okay? It's where the whole thing starts initially, okay? So when we see return component, you can essentially refer to as the point at which we start routing, okay? So after we do this return component, everything with the routing will apply, right? So you'll have a forward slash here. If I had a chat.js here, it would show that and so forth, right? But before that, we can do very interesting things on the server to make sure that we're showing the correct things, okay? So at this point, what I want to do is I need the user, right? I need some kind of a login, right? And then we need to check if there is a login or if there is a user and route the user accordingly. So what we need is first React Firebase hooks, okay? So in order to get React Firebase hooks, I'm going to go ahead and say yarn add React Firebase hooks, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in. And Magnetic says, really, HOC? Well, the deprecated, this isn't a HOC at the moment, dude. So gotta fix your facts, dude, right? Before we get the complete devs in the chat, right? Right, so right now what we're going to do is we've got React Firebase over here, right? So we've done an install. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull in a very handy hook, okay? So I'm going to pull in a really nice hook from React Firebase hooks. And this hook is called use auth state, right? From React Firebase hooks /auth, okay? So now what I need to do is I go down here and I just go ahead and say const user, right? And I can go ahead and say equals use auth state, right? And if I go ahead and pass in my authentication that I basically previously set up, so this is a lowercase a, sorry. And then what I can do here is I can say import, right? And I can go ahead and import the authentication. And I will need the DB in a bit. And I'm going to import that from, let's go ahead and go into our Firebase, right? Our local Firebase file. So now what I'm doing is this will actually go to Firebase, say to me, I say to Firebase, is there a user logged in right now? Yes or no, right? If there is, this will get that property, right? If there isn't, this will be a sort of a FOSI value, okay? So what I can do with that information is I can go ahead and say, if there is no user, then I can return, before I return any of the rest of the app, right? Before, this is basically the entire app, right? But before I do that, if there is no user, I'm going to return, let's just say a login page, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pop in a login page over here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and actually build this one out, right? Sunny, remove the celebration on donation, right? No, we do have a celebration on donation. And guys, we're almost at 1,000 likes. Just smash that thumbs up button if you're watching this, if you enjoy it. Incredible stuff. Thank you so much, right? So we're going to go ahead and create a login page right now. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and say login.js. And again, this will route to /login. Right, Avni says Sunny, Sajid Sadicha says 940 likes in 1 hour is amazing. So thank you so much. It's incredible, honestly. _ RFCE, pop that open, and we've got the login. Okay, now for the login page, it's actually got quite a simple layout. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is have a container over here. Okay, so the container at the top, and then I'm going to go ahead and say const container equals, and you can see, look at the tab 9 just coming in and finishing it off, right? So we can say div. And then what I can do is this will actually go ahead and populate. Now I do need to import styled from styled components at the top of the file. So I can go ahead and do it like so. Let me go ahead and make it a bit bigger. There we go. Right. And then what we want to do is actually have this sort of set up in a, firstly, I want the page itself to say login. Okay. So I want the page itself to say login at the top of the page. So I'm going to import the head component from next.js. There we go. And this will change the title of the page to a login, right? Which should be a very, very clean. Work says, I got hired for a React developer and your tutorials were a great reason for that. Thanks for the content, Sunny. Dude, this is what we're talking about. Like, this is incredible. Like, I'm actually able to, you know, learn new pieces of tech, like simplify them, teach you guys them, and you guys are benefiting in the real world from that, right? Which makes everything worth it. Now we did just get will there be a backend question? Now the really cool thing I want to mention about Next.js is that it actually has a built-in Express kind of style server, right? So you can see here, if I go to the API, we actually get a built-in server which is running, right? Because remember, it's server-side rendered, which means out of the box you'll get this. So if I wanted to test this out, I could simply go over to my application, go to /API/hello. And look at this, guys. Boom. We have an API, we have a backend server always running as well behind the scenes. Just something to know. Just something, another reason to know why we should be using this. Okay. So very, very powerful stuff. Now, let me go ahead and actually pop open my localhost again. There we go. And then what I'm going to do here is, let's go ahead and refresh. And what's happening here? Let me go ahead and save. And then here you can see reference login is not defined. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my login page. There we go. And over here now, we can see if there was no user, it should log in. Oh, that's horrible. Here we say login from login. There we go. Right. So if I go to my login page now, we should be able to see, and this is because this is a lowercase l, so we need to change that to a login. There we go. The file name has to be not login, but then this is the login page, as you can see at the top of the page over here. Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down, and I'm going to create a login container. Okay. So login container like so. Now this I need to go ahead and create a styled component for. So I'm going to say const login container equals a styled div like so. Okay. Now inside of the login container, we're going to have a logo, which is going to be an image tag. So this is going to be the logo over here, which is self-closing tag. Now this one, let's go ahead and create a style component for it. It's going to be the logo, and this is a styled.image. Okay. So again, you can see it's actually very easy to kind of put this together and move with it right now. For the source, I'm going to go ahead and pop in. Let's go ahead and do this. And a quick little tip here, right? So if you're wondering, why do I need to know this stuff? Why do I need to know server-side rendering and all that, right? Now, the reason being is for SEO, right? SEO is huge because think about it. When you're not using server-side rendering, when somebody comes to your web page, what is happening is they come onto the web page and then it will go ahead and request all of the assets on the page, the images, all of the text, all that stuff, or any dynamic information. It's going to make the request. So that when robots like web scrapers from Google scrape your page, they aren't always going to wait for that information, which means they don't always get all the accurate information. But when you use Next.js, you have something called static site generation and server-side rendering combined. Like you have a hybrid site. Now, the cool thing about this is that when that robot or like a user comes onto your site, they don't need to now request all of those individual assets. The server does that, and it bundles it all up and it gets it ready, and that's super fast on the server. Then it just sends a minified, really fast version to the client, which means that when that robot comes onto your page, they just get the entire site in the request. Hence the SEO is better. There you go. All right, so we have the logo up and running, so you can see it's huge right here, right? So that's actually a huge logo. And then we're going to go ahead and pop in a button, right? So this is going to be a material UI button, so I'm not going to style it too much. I'm just going to say sign in with Google, sign in with Google. Right, so a lot of people saying, will you ever do a React Native clone? I did one, the Signal clone, go check it out. Right, so I'm going to basically use the variant outline for the button over here. So as soon as I save this, you should be able to see. If I go ahead and make this a lot smaller, let's actually style this because it's very hard to see what's going on right now, isn't it? Right, so at the bottom down here where we've got the styled image, I'm going to go ahead and put a height and a width of 200 pixels. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this and do a width as well of width of 200 pixels, and we save, and there you go. It's a lot more easier to see that, isn't it? Right, and another reason why this is bloated out is because I've zoomed in. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is do a margin bottom of 50 pixels. And you're probably wondering, why the bottom, Sonny? Why are you doing that, right? Because in the container itself, I want it to be in the login container, sorry, I want it to be a display flex. And then what I want to do is make the flex direction a column. Okay, now if you're not good at Flex or any of the Flexbox stuff, I do recommend you check out Flexbox Froggy, the game. Incredible site, right? Really, really good site. And it just makes things so easy, right? Really, really makes something easier. Wow, the mind-blowing. So I forgot to say, I recently participated in a hackathon and I got third place and $2,000 thanks to your UI development skills and backend database skills. That's sick. Well done, dude. Branch is in the house. What's up, dude? Incredible stuff. Guys, almost at 1,000 likes. 1,000 likes. 70 minutes in and almost at 1,000 likes. Crazy, right? So at this point, we have this, and this looks okay, right? So what I want to do is I want to improve it. So in the container, I'm going to go ahead and say display grid. Right, display grid, and I'm going to say place the items in the center because it's a nice little trick I like to do. And I actually found this out in a Google talk once, right? So it was a very handy Google talk because I use it all the time. And I'm going to say a height of 100 view height. So hit save on that and everything goes into the center. Now, why are these not spread apart? It's because I've got another container as the child where everything is stuck in between, right? So that's why you're not getting everything spread apart. And he says, greeting from Tunisia. Thank you so much, dude. 1K likes, you deserve it. Incredible stuff. I actually went to oh wow, we broke it. I didn't even realize we broke it. It was so quick. Thank you guys. This is incredible stuff. 1K likes. Wow. 400 people watching still. Like, what is happening? Thank you so much, guys. If you want me to keep on bringing the fire, then, you know, just let me know in the comment section right now. And I'm going to keep on bringing Next.js content, React Native content, all that good stuff. And as I mentioned before, guys, the things that help me supercharge this build, Tab9 for that amazing code completion, and Hostinger for holding the amazing app that we're going to build on our custom domain. Okay, so both links are in the description. Check them out. Let's carry on with the build, guys. So here we have the sign in with Google button. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to kind of make this look a hell of a lot nicer than it is right now. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is add a padding of 100 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do align items in the center, right? So align items in the center. Then I'm going to go ahead and say a background color of white, right? Background color of white. There we go, right? And the background color of the container is going to be white smoke, right? So now you can see, look at that, a nice little separation happening right here. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say border radius of 5 pixels. So we'll smoothen the edges around that box. And then the final thing, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a nice box shadow. And you can see this is what UI is about, right? UI, very subtle differences, and boom, look at that. Like a very few lines of code, and the whole thing looks amazing, right? Can we get to 1.1K, right? That's my question, right? I want to see how many likes we can break today. Incredible stuff. Okay, so Azam Khan says, yo, am I late? Dude, the main thing is you're here. That's it, right? So at this point, we've got this looking pretty good. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So if we go to our main app, I mean, look at that. That is insanely perfect, right? To the actual app. You can't even see any difference, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to have an on click on the button. So I'm going to say on click, right? And on my on click, I'm going to say sign in. And this is going to be an external function. So on top of the return block, I'm going to say a const sign in, right? And this is going to be my anonymous function. And then this function is going to go ahead and pull in the authenticated object. So let's go ahead and pop this in from our local Firebase file. And I'm going to say auth.signin with popup. Okay, now this is the thing that allows you to have that Google login. Okay, so this is how you go ahead and do it. Kev Al-Shah says, how are you, Sunny? I'm doing great, dude. Thank you so much. Right, and I'm going to go ahead and pop in the provider here. Okay, now the provider I need from that Firebase file as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. Nice. Then what I'm going to do is type in catch, right? Because all I need to do is I just want to tell the user if something went wrong. And here I will alert, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say just alert the user if that happens. Now this is where we can basically go ahead and whatever argument gets pulled into catch will go ahead and get passed as an argument to alert. And then it will invoke the function. Hence, it will show us in a very neat little code snippet. Now, that's it. That's literally it. We can go ahead and click login, and you guys can see that it pulls up Firebase Google authentication. And while we have this open, I'm going to go over to my app. Now, remember here, we said, right? We said, okay, get the user. And if there was no user logged in, return the login screen. Then if there was a user logged in, this is actually a real-time listener to the authenticated state. This will update the user once we log in, which will then in turn return the rest of the application. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log into the Papa React team account, and then boom, I'm inside the app. And if I go ahead and refresh, you can see we get the initial sort of, that initial headache, right? Now, how do I get rid of that loading state? So you see when I refresh the page, it has a loading intermediate step. So React Firebase hooks is really nice because what it does is as a second argument, it gives you the loading state, right? So this is really, really, really nice, honestly. So what we can do here is actually sort of, superpower this one up a little bit more, right? So what we can do is go here and I can say, okay, if there is a loading happening, right? So if there's any loading at the moment, return a loading component, okay? And then what I'm going to do here is the loading component isn't going to be a page that you can route to. I want it to be a component on its own. It's just going to be a UI presentational component. Now, what we're going to do here is type in loading.js, and this is going to be a component of its own. So I'm going to do underscore RFC, and then we've got our loading block over here, right? So the thing that I want to do here, and remember, so this is a very important thing to know. When we're doing the server-side rendering stuff right now, which is basically what's happening here, right? Then we can use styled components, but you have to do some additional steps. Hence why you're going to see me here using some inline styles, okay? Because you can use CSS at this point, but I'm just going to use some inline styles just to center a few things and to make it look very clean, okay? So what I'm going to do here, and so we can sort of focus on the development of this portion, I'm going to go ahead and say if true, return loading, which means I will always force the loading state, okay? And I also need to import my loading component. And then there you go. And then here it says expected some value, which we don't have. So at this point, if I go into my loading, and here you see it's empty, this is why we're seeing this. So the first thing I'm going to do is make it a center element. So the things that we see are centered. The second thing I'm going to do is have a div inside of it. And then what I'm going to have is an image tag, which is going to be the WhatsApp image. Okay, so I'm going to have the source of the WhatsApp image over here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in like so. Let's go ahead and do this. And then we've got the image tag, so you guys can feel free to copy that image tag, right? There you go. And then here, what you can actually do is rather than go ahead and, pass in CSS and all that stuff, I can pass in a height at this point of, let's say 200, and it will automatically, shrink it, okay? So it will shrink it. And the next thing I want to do is I want to add an inline style, right? Again, this is because on the server side rendering portion of the build, we actually kind of need this one to it's not going to be using style components. You can use style components, but that's an additional step, and we're trying to squeeze a lot in right now. Margin bottom. Now you're probably wondering, say, there's nothing underneath it, right? Why would you possibly have this, right? Why would you possibly have anything underneath this when it doesn't make any sense, right? So I have a really cool little loader library that I like to use, and it's for spinners, right? So spinners, anytime you need a spinner or anything like that, then we can go ahead and do this. Right, Daniel says, Sonny, you're doing a great job explaining everything. You take your time without doing so, without rushing. I hope you create a React Native version of this app sometime soon. Thank you, dude. Really, really appreciate the kind words. And for sure, man, I'm always down to do that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and install Better React Spin Kit, okay? So this is a very cool package that I love to use, and it's called Yarn Add React Better React Spin Kit. So I'm going to hit enter on that, install it, and then there you go, right? So loads of people asking what is the benefit of Next.js. Literally go onto Next.js's website, and it has a whole portion about what the benefits are of using it. It's great, right? So for everyone who's debating whether I should learn it or not, stop being lazy, learn it. It's great. It's really great, okay? So at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use that React Better Spin Kit, or Better React Spin Kit. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in, and we're going to use a circle component from it. So this is a circle. The color here, I've actually got the WhatsApp color, which is actually the it's a pound, and then you've got this. This is a WhatsApp color, and then I'm going to give it a size of 60 pixels, and they take that as props. Now, if I go ahead and hit save here, we get a nice looking little spinner. Okay, so there's a very nice little spinner element over here. Now, what we can do at this point is we can go ahead, and I think the stream's all good. Somebody says stream glitch. I think we're all good. Let me know. I think we're all good, right? So now what we're going to do is inside of the center, what I'm going to do is just apply some very light styling in an inline style fashion, okay? I'm going to say, firstly, I'm going to do a display grid. Okay, so it's going to be display grid. The second thing I want to do is do a place items. Now, when you're doing inline styles, it's camel cased as opposed to dashes in between, right? So you can see tab 9 coming in clutch always with the centering. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say a height of 100 view height, okay? And this has to be in quotes like so, okay? Perfect. Then we hit save, and you can see all of those styles result in a perfectly centered element, right? So now what I can do is if I go back to app.js over here and I change this to the loading, so we stop the force of the loading. And now check this out, guys. When I hit refresh, we see a loader, we come into our app. That's clean. And it wasn't even that hard to build that, right? That wasn't even hard to build. Like, that was a really, really nice kind of loader to have. Now, guys, I'm wondering, can we get to 1.1K likes? I think we can. I really think we can do this, right? Let's keep going. I love the energy that we have today. It's really, really good. Okay, so Avnish says, I'm in love with this song. Yeah, I love it too, dude. All right, so now what we're going to do is when we hit the component over here, that's when the rest of the Next.js sort of app kicks in, okay? So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my app.js, and I'm going to check, okay? So the first thing I want to do is when they first sign in, right? So the first time the user signs in, I want to kind of capture them, right? So I want to capture them, and I want to basically have their details stored in a user's collection, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a use effect. Now, use effects are used to trigger a piece of code at the component's lifecycle methods, right? So like whenever the component mounts, I want this code to trigger, right? And in order to get it to mount initially, what we do is we pass in an empty bracket over here. So empty square bracket. And what this does is it goes ahead and basically says when the component mounts, I want to fire off whatever code is inside of here. Now, I also want to fire it off whenever the user changes. Okay, so if they log out, they log in, that sort of stuff. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say if there is a user, right? Because there's an asynchronous aspect to that. Then what we're going to do is On It Technology says, this is just awesome. Hell yeah, dude. You know how we do it. Right here, I'm going to say DB, right? So we got the DB earlier, and I'm going to say db.collection. Now, what we're doing here is we're tapping into Firestore, right? So I'm going to go into the collection, a NoSQL structured database, okay? Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in users, okay? So then what we're going to do is Arnold says, really love the stream. Why didn't you make use of Tailwind? So because remember, guys, I don't want to overload the tech, right? We're learning a lot of tech here. So you can't always like, you know, use this. Like we're learning in iterations, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the document, and I'm going to basically use the user's UID, which comes from their Google profile. And I'm going to do something called set. Okay, so I'm going to do something called set. Now at this point, I pass in an object. Okay, so I pass in an object into my parentheses. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say email, and this is going to be the user's email. Okay, I'm also going to set a last scene, right? So a last scene. Here I'm going to say last scene. Okay, And this one is going to basically be the Firebase timestamp. Now, whenever you're dealing with timestamps on Firebase, you have to be careful because remember, I'm in the UK right now and my time zone is different to most of your time zones, okay? So what we want to do is let's use Firebase's Firestore database timestamp because we're all going to be using the same database. So that would be the timestamp that would be consistent amongst all of us, okay? And then when we come to render it on our local machine, we'll translate it to our local timestamp. That's how we do it, okay? So at this point, how do we do that? We basically go ahead and import Firebase from the actual Firebase module at the top like so. And then what we do is we say Firebase dot Firestore, okay, dot field value dot server timestamp. And server timestamp is a function, so we can go ahead and pop that in. Do a comma to go into the next line over here. And then we're going to say photo URL to get the user's profile picture from Google. This will come in as user.photo URL like so. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pass in a second argument which says merge true. Okay, now the reason for this is because set basically goes in, updates and replaces everything that is inside that document. Now I don't want to do that. I want to go ahead and update what is inside there. But if it wasn't created initially, I want to create it, which is why I'm using set as opposed to update. Okay. Rahul says, Sunny, the music is dope. You care to share that playlist? Dude, I got you, man. I got you. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link right now for you guys in the chat. This is the Papa Fam playlist. So go ahead and enjoy it, guys. There you go. All right. Smash the thumbs up if you are happy I just shared that playlist. Okay. So I went ahead and dropped it in the chat right now. You guys can go ahead and do it. Okay. So you see, I'm always listening, multitasking. That's how you get it. Right. So here we go. When the user logs in for the first time or every time, they're going to subsequently update these information and details, which we're going to go ahead and use later on. Okay. So with that done, now what we do is we go back to our sidebar component. Okay. Now in the sidebar component, the first thing I want to do is I want to make the ability to log out, right? So I don't want to trap the user. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to have the user avatar, right? Which is essentially this part over here. Firstly, we need to fix this. So we need to go back to our app and always make sure that you check your code. So I'm going to go ahead and import use effect from React, hit save, and then you go, there we go. We can see that stuff happening. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and refresh and you can see everything works. And you can see if there was a user, we're going to make sure that it gets updated. Then it would load the app. So every time you come onto the app, it will update your last scene. So it's very, very good. Okay. Please don't spam the chat, guys. Otherwise I have to, I don't want to have to ban people, but it makes me want to, like I have to ban it. Dude, you're out. All right, time. There you go. Oh, Samit beat me to it. Nice. All right. The autocomplete that I'm using is called Tab9 Stanley, right? So Tab9, amazing AI auto completion. We actually have an affiliate link in it's the first link in the description. Go ahead and check it out and it will supercharge your development experience, okay? Let me know when you download it, right? So Tab9, there we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and set up a way to log out of the app, okay? So we're gonna go into our sidebar component. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say user avatar. And then here I'm going to say on click. Okay, so on click of the user avatar, I'm going to do an anonymous inline function, which is going to say auth, right? And I need to go ahead and pull in the auth afterwards. And I'm going to say sign out, okay, which is a function. Now I'm going to pull in my authentication module from Firebase. Okay, so if I can go ahead and import this from Firebase like so. Now what this will allow me to do is when I click the user's avatar, which is this thing over here, it should log me out, okay? But I did not save the file. So if I go ahead and save it, see that little thing that popped up? We get a nice little fast reload. So if I go ahead and click this now, boom, I'm logged out. And if I refresh just to prove it, there you go, right? It will load, check if you're logged in, and then it goes ahead and works. So now if I go ahead and sign in once again, we should be able to see, check this out. PuppyReact.team, go ahead, log me in, perfect. Everything works nice. We have login for user authentication and inside the database now, if we go ahead and check it out. So let's go ahead and have a look at the Firestore database. We should see the users and inside it a document which has Papa React last seen at 5:31, which is literally right now with my picture as my profile picture. So you see everything goes ahead and gets put up, right? So this is really, really nice. Benga says, hi, Sunny, it's such an amazing work you're doing. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate the support. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and create the chats, right? So the chats that we spoke about before. So how do we do it, right? We're going to go ahead and say that what we need to do is we need to after we validate the email or the input, right? So the one after you click start a new chat, I need to validate it. And then after I validate it, thank you, Revant, for the nice donation there. He goes, hi, saying, can you show us how to use Redux DevTools? Not today because we're not using Redux today, but thank you for the donation, dude. Here I'm going to say DB, right? So I'm going to import DB from our local Firebase file, right? And then I'm going to say db.collection. And I'm going to go to a collection of chats, right? So we're actually going to have a chat collection now. And then what I'm going to say is add, okay? So add in a collection of chats. Well, 1.1K, wow. This is crazy, guys. Thank you. Oh my God, like 1.1K already. I think we're going to go to like 1.5K today. It's crazy. Thank you so much, guys. Let's push this video and share it, right? So we're going to say db.collection chats, and we're going to add a document inside. Now, I obviously don't care too much about the ID of this document. I just want to make sure that I add in the users who are going to be part of this chat. So the way that this one-to-one is going to be working, thank you so much, Sumit. He goes, we're killing it today. Keep sharing. Exactly, we're killing it today. All right. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to have a chats collection. Okay. Now, inside the chats collection, every single document will represent a chat. Inside of a document, we're going to have a users array. Now, because it's a one-to-one chat, the user who's logged in, we already have the first email of that array. The second user is going to be the input that we typed in for the person that we want to start a conversation with. So every single chat will have a user's object inside of it, which will be an array. So it'll be a user's array inside of it. Then you'll have the user who's logged in. So Sunny, for example, papareact.team@gmail.com. And then you'll have the user, for example, Sumit@gmail.com. And that'll be a chat between Sunny and Sumit. Right, so that's how we basically keep track of all this stuff, right? Karen says, Sunny, you're an amazing mentor with amazing skills. Your smile is so cool. Thank you so much. It made me smile, dude, when you said that. Thank you so much. All right. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to go ahead and add, right? So here I'm going to say add users. And in the array that we want to add, firstly, I need the user, right? So the user who is logged in. So we can go ahead and use that really nice use auth state module earlier that we installed. So this one over here. And what we can do is we can say const user equals use auth state, like so. And this will keep a real-time mapping of the user's authentication. We do need to pass in our local authenticated config. So there we go. And then we get the user. So in this case, I can say user.email. Okay. And this will give me the user's email of the person who is logged in. Okay. So then what I can do is I can go comma and I can type in input. And this input would have been the input that we get when I click start a new chat, right? So imagine if for here I said papa@gmail.com. This would be creating a chat between me, who is signed in as papareact.team@gmail.com, and papa@gmail.com, okay? So what I'm going to do then is I think after that, we're pretty good to go, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. So the second thing I want to do is I do want to actually double check and make sure that I'm not already adding a chat. But firstly, let's do one step at a time. Let's make sure that this works, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and open up Firestore so you guys can see. And I'm going to click start a new chat. And I'm going to start a chat with, let's just say sunny@gmail.com. Now this isn't a real account, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Sunny. And if we go ahead and refresh, because you have to refresh if there's no document inside of a fresh collection, I'm going to go ahead and type in chats. And you can see we created a chat between papareact.team@gmail.com, who is signed in, and sunny@gmail.com. So you see, very, very slick way of doing it, okay? Insane amount of coaching for free. You're creating a history. Saying thank you so much. That's my goal, dude. Leave a legacy where I help as many people as possible. That's it, dude. That's what we do, okay? So you can see this is how we represent a one-to-one chat, okay? So we have a chat between one email and another email address. And emails are a good ID to use because everyone has unique emails, okay? So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and firstly put this back over here so we have a nice little clean slate. And then I'm going to go ahead and I actually want to make a function which will check if the chat already exists, okay? Because I need to be sure that the chat doesn't already exist, okay? And also I need to make sure that the chat is not the user's email because you don't want Sunny to start a chat with Sunny, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a first conditional check, which says, let's check that the input is not equal to user.email, right? So this will actually sort of prevent that from passing through. Okay, so we're going to make sure that that's not the case. And then we're also going to add in a final one, which will say if the chat already exists. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, as I'm Khan, thank you so much. Now we're going to do is create a new function called const, and we're going to say chat already exists, right? Chat already exists. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and type in, there we go, and then I'm going to pass in a recipient email, okay? So this will be the person who you are intending to chat with. So in this case, it will be whoever I've typed into that input field, okay? So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say, okay, I need a chat. I need to basically have a real-time connection to the chats collection to see if that chat exists, right? So how do I do any of that stuff? We're going to use React Firebase hooks, right? So it makes it so easy to do it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the use collection, right? So we're going to go ahead and use the use collection hook from React Firebase hooks /firestore. Now what I do is I go ahead and I need to make a reference to the database, okay? So I'm going to say const user chat reference equals, it's going to be the DB collection, and it's going to be collection of chats, right? And I'm basically going to go ahead and say where, this is a Firestore function, where we basically query the database, where the users, remember that users array, right? That users array, we can have a very handy little function here called array contains, right? And you can see the tab 9 coming in clutch. We can say array contains, and we can say user.email. Now what this does is it goes to our Firestore database. It basically queries the users, the sort of the user arrays, checks if the email, checks where our email is seen for the person who is logged in. This should give us all of the chats, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and map it to a real-time listener. So we're going to go ahead and say, and since we have these new hooks, it's so easy, right? What we're going to say is chats snapshot, and this will give me a snapshot of the database. And if I need the loading object, I can get that. And even if I need an error object, I can get that too, right? But in this case, I'm just going to get chats snapshot, right? And then here I'll say equals use collection, okay? Use collection, and I'm going to pass in the reference for the user chat reference, right? So the one that we just defined above here, right? Perfect. Now this will give me a real-time listener. Simple as that. Everything is done for us. Right, so what I can do now is I can go down to my chat already exists, and I'm going to go ahead and say the following. I'm going to say chats.snapshot. Okay, now this could be, right, see you later Avnish, thank you so much for supporting, dude. Right, so here I'm going to say chats snapshot, and this could be undefined because it's an async. We're going to say go to the docs, and this is called optional chaining, by the way, if you're not familiar with that. Very handy function. I'm going to say see if you can find, right, see if you can find a record where the recipient email is already there, right? So the person who I'm trying to create an email, a sort of new chat with, see if it already exists there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single chat, and I'm basically going to check the following, okay? So bear with me on this one. I'm going to say chat.data, right? So we're going to access the chat.data, which is actually going to be, remember when I showed you, it's actually this one right here. So this is the chat.data, and then I'm going to go ahead and say chat.data.users, right? And then .find, and I'm going to say go through all of the users and check if the user is equal to the recipient email, okay? And then what we're going to say is a optional chain value, and then we're going to say .length is equal, it was greater than 0. So this line of code right here is basically going to go through, right? One dab for Sunny, thank you so much. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the chats that exist, and we're basically going to filter, like find inside of the user's array if the user is found with the recipient email, which is the one that we type into the input field, okay? And if the length is greater than 0, this will return some kind of element. Now, to convert, so basically think of it, all of this is either going to return an element or it will return like null or undefined. So if I want to convert all of that to either a Boolean, right, to a Boolean value. So it's either true if a value came back, or it's false if no value came back. Then what I do is I do double bang here, right? So you put in a double exclamation mark, and this will convert and basically say if the value was truthy, which means that if there was a value present or anything like that, then it's going to go ahead and be true. And if it was falsy, which means that if the value was undefined, no, or anything like that, then it would become, or even an empty string, then it will basically return false. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're then going to go ahead and do an implicit return. So we can say return like this, but because we're doing a one-line bit of code, we can actually get rid of the curly braces, and we have a super sleek function. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is smash the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this right now. All right, so I'm definitely enjoying this as well. Having so much fun right now. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and add in that condition. So I'm going to say validate the email, and then also, right, I want to go ahead and say if the chat doesn't already exist, right, and I'm going to pass in the input as the recipient email, right? So this is basically saying if the chat does not exist, because I'm using a bang, which basically is an opposite, right? So if this is false, then go ahead and add it, right? If it doesn't already exist, and is valid, save. Nice. Okay, this is really, really clean, right? It's some background music playing. Yes, it is. Right, so now you can see if we do this, and say if I try and create another chat with sunny@gmail.com, if I go ahead and try and do that now, if I do sunny, let's go ahead and refresh. If I go ahead and say sunny, start a new chat, if I say sunny@gmail.com, now you'll be able to see it didn't create another new chat because it knew already that, okay, we already had one found. Okay, so now we're protecting against that as well. And we can also protect against our own email address being used. So we're actually doing a good job there, right? So now we also have access to that chats collection, okay? So we have the chats snapshot over here. So what we can do with that is we can actually go ahead and render out all of the chats on the screen. What am I talking about? I'm talking about these chats over here. So let me sign into Google quickly on the main account, and I will show you guys how it's happening. It's not server-side rendering yet, right? So here we've got a bunch of chats happening, right? So I want to basically fetch this and render them as so. So how do we do that, right? I'll show you how we do it. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go down to the list of chats, and here I'll say chat snapshot, which could be optional, .docs.map. For every single chat, right? For every single chat, I'm going to go ahead and return a chat element, okay? Now inside of this chat element, I'm going to pass in a few props, right? I need to create the chat element, of course. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say chat.id, right? Then what I'm going to do is say the ID, I'm going to pass through as the chat ID as well, because I want to use it as a prop. And then I'm going to pass in the users, all right? And the users are going to be the chat.data, chat.data.users. I'm going to hit save, right? Now it's going to freak out. It's like, whoa, 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 cannot read property map of undefined, okay? So at this point, we've got, I can go ahead and firstly, I need to create this one. So actually, this will not be the error that we're sort of going to expect. It will be, this is saying 207. Let's have a look. We've got chat.data, recipient length, and then we have, let's go ahead and create this chat component over here, okay? So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and create a chat component over here. So over on the top of the components, we're going to go ahead and create a chat.js, okay? East or West, Sunny Sangria is the best. Thank you, dude. RFC, can we get to 1.2K likes, guys? All right, we've got the chat over here. Now over here, we got chat. I'm going to go ahead and basically, remember I said we passed in a few props, right? Now the props we can destructure and get the ID and the users out from, okay? We're also going to be using styled components here. So I'm going to go ahead and create my container, right? So I'm going to say container equals, and tab9 comes in clutch, start.div, right? Div, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the following. So after that, I'm going to import styled components so we can use it, right? We are using JavaScript, not Python, right? Then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and have on here on the sort of like, what do we expect to see here, right? I expect to see the user avatar and a p tag, right? That's basically what we're seeing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a p tag, which is going to have the recipient's email, okay? The recipient's email. So this is just going to be like some kind of email. Right? So this is going to be recipient email, right? Hit save. And then if we go into R1, you can see, let's go ahead and refresh, and let's pull in that chat component. Let's go ahead and pull it in over here, hit save, and then refresh. Right, and then we're seeing map of undefined. Let's double check where we're using map. So doc.map is only over here, and we should in fact be doing docs, docs, there we go. So now if I go ahead and refresh, There you go. So recipient email. So this was the chat that basically we created, okay? If I go ahead and start another one, you're going to be able to go ahead and see that happen here. So if I go ahead and say, let this test at gmail.com, then you can see 2 recipient emails, okay? But we obviously need to make this work in a correct way, okay? So at this point, what we can do is we go into our chat, right? We're going to basically, soup up our chat right here. So we're going to go into the chat, and then what I'm going to do is firstly introduce the user avatar, right? Because I need that next to the user's sort of email address over here. So we're actually going to go ahead and introduce user avatar, which is just a styled component for, so it's going to be a user avatar, capital F is important. It's going to be a user's avatar for, let's go ahead and say, styled component. So it's going to be a material UI. So we're going to say user avatar, styled, and then this is going to be the avatar component. We need to import that from material UI, and then we're going to go ahead and use our styled component. Now for the user avatar, I'm going to say a margin of 5 pixels is required, and then I'm going to be lazy and just say I'm override the margin right with a 15 pixels, so it's slightly greater on the right. Hit save, and you can see, boom, we get that. Okay. Now for the container surrounding it, display flex, right? Display flex will go ahead and make it a little bit easier. Display flex pops it into a nice little thing, and then we say align item center. See, tab 9's making it super easy for me to work here, right? Cursor, pointer, and then I can go ahead and say padding of 15 pixels, and then I'm going to go ahead and say word break. What's up, AJ? I'm going to say word break, and here I'm going to say break word, because this is basically going to protect me if somebody has a super long email address. It's not going to just spam the hell out of it. It's going to go ahead and break the word onto the new line, okay? And obviously you can do different approaches to that. Now, when I hover over this, I want the background color to change. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is what I love about styled components. It's as simple as saying when you hover, change the background color to the following. And I've already got a color here in mind. This is going to be a nice little gray off color that WhatsApp uses. So now if I hover over it, boom. Now this is looking clean, right? This is looking very, very clean. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you're using tab 9 because it's a great autocomplete, and make sure you've already created that hosting a trial account, because we're going to be using that very shortly, okay? Okay, so hey, son, you're doing a great job. Hi from Boston. What's up, Serkan? Thank you so much, right? Right. So at this point, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to have it so that when you click, okay, so firstly, I need to check, right? I need to see if the recipient has a photo URL. We're going to check that one in just a sec. But what we need to do, right, we get the users that come in here. But how do I go ahead and get the recipient? So remember, in here we have a list of users, okay? Now I need to create a utility function where I can basically pass in the users array and pass in the user who's logged in email, and it just gives me the other one, the sort of other email, okay? So we need to go ahead and do that, right? So we need to make sure that we can do that in a very simple manner, okay? So how the hell do we